Episode 3, Welcome to the Preserve. We'll be playing Monster of the Week, created by Michael Sands, a game system based on the Powered by the Apocalypse mechanics. This will be an actual play stream, but our focus will be on the characters and the narrative, so we have bent some rules, broken others, and created a slew of our own, so forgive us these sins. All right, what's up? Void Jumpers, my favorite time of the week. Let's bring the group in. Hey, everybody.
Hey, Jess. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Brian. Hey, Trin.
Hello.
Hello, Connor. Hi.
Hey, Chet.
Wonderful to see you all again.
Yeah.
Last week, we did a deep dive into some of your characters' backgrounds, and before we get started on the current plotline, I just want to take a moment to touch base with each of you and just get a sense of what we might have learned last week. Why don't we start with Rex?
All right. Hello, Void Jumper watchers. We need a better name for what you guys are.
Jumpers.
Void Jumpers, too.
Jumpers. Everybody's jumpers. I'm even wearing a jumper, you guys.
Kismet.
That was not planned. So what we learned about Rex last week is that at the tender age of about 12, she competed in a racing competition that she won by virtue of at the expense of somebody else. And that in her shame, she ran away. And while she was away, her entire community was obliterated by an unknown force. So her shame saved her.
I imagine that's not easy to live with.
A shame shave.
Shame
You
save.
got a-
Shame
Yeah.
save.
A death save and a shame shave.
Yeah.
All right, how about you, Professor?
Professor, that would be me. Let's see. We went briefly into the past of the professor to find out what happened to him after he graduated all of his many scholastic achievements and got his first job on the Void Planet. He basically showed everyone how he's able to distill magic into an Eric's, and he kind of showcased that for everyone. All the people watching seem to be very greedily, interested in the implications of this kind of technology. He's trying to sort of steer people in the direction of all the defense that it could possibly use, while they seem to be actually more edging towards all the offensive capabilities that this kind of thing that can have happen for them. And I believe we let it lie with what happens when the professor extracted the magic out of a electric creature, and it was kind of a left from there. Yeah, a little cliffhanger and see what happens afterwards.
Alrighty. And how about Tag the Parallel?
We learned that the parallels are raised and trained on a planet, or on a moon, orbiting the continuum called Silva Celesso. We learned that Tag was dropped on the front door of this monastery as a wee baby, and he was taken in to be kind of a young assistant groundskeeper. And as the result of a training accident involving his best friend, Violet, who was supposed to be Lisa or Bryn's parallel, he ended up getting pushed into the position at the last minute, having not officially undergone parallel training himself.
All right. Bryn's backstory has yet to be dived into. Perhaps we're saving that for a reason, but you'll just have to find out. There's much more going on to the summoner's backstory than we know so far. But we're going to start today's session on the Preserve, a jungle world, the planet associated with the bloom element. When last you were here, your dropship, which was bringing you to a political summit, crashed because of an explosion of magical energy that was coming from a facility in the distance, one that you assume is the place that you are supposed to be meeting the leader of this planet, A1 Summoner Langurium, who will be counseling Bryn on how to best handle the balance of dealing with a company while still adhering to great leadership ideals and running a planet. But there's been a little speed bump, mainly the crash, and you are now in the dense jungle of the preserve. It's said to be an endless jungle. And moments before we will be picking up, Bryn opened her mind and tapped into the essence of the planet, found a wealth of energy, a wealth of power as she expected, but also that there was a tenseness as though the planet was holding its breath. That was not a natural feeling, and she felt that it was because something was amiss. Tag, soon after, reached out to find that same energy and found that he could not access it, but he could access a darkness that was constricting the energy of the planet and perhaps draining it. And in making contact, that dark presence noticed Tag as well. So we pick up around the wreckage of this dropship, and I just want to take a moment, I think, to have your characters catch their breath and perhaps check in with one another about what just happened and what you might like to do next. There is an NPC wandering around. His name is Sinak88. He's a robot saved from the wreckage by the professor. But I don't have anything in mind for these scenes. I just thought that maybe you would want to talk to certain of the party and get a feel for what just happened. Is there anybody who has an immediate connection that they'd like to make to open us up as we stand around the burning wreckage of this spaceship?
Yes. There's a lot of hustle and bustle going on. I've just shared with the group what I saw in opening myself to the planet. I shared that that dark entity felt us, looked right at me. And I think that there's a lot of commotion that's happening. And in that, I'm just kind of lingering near Bryn, near the summoner, keeping my eyes down and my hands crossed in front of me, looking up every so often, trying to find a moment to say something. And I don't quite know what it is. And I get the sense that I'm lingering, maybe hanging too close to her and getting annoying. And so I just say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know that what I did back there on the ship put everyone's lives in danger, and all I'm supposed to do here is help you, and you had to jump out of a flaming dropship to save my life, and you deserve a better parallel, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's a bunch of nonsense. Do you recall that the magic I used catapulted me into the cockpit and I almost knocked myself out? We all made really quick decisions that had unintended consequences. It's okay. I was happy to save you. Sure, you're probably going to have to save me at some point.
Well, I don't know. I hope not. I hope we're not in a dangerous situation.
Who put the hashtag
Can I ask
TipS
you
in
a
the
question?
tipping jar?
Of
Who,
course.
me? Not me. Couldn't
Do you
be.
feel weird
Then who?
after, like, connecting with the magic here? Do you feel like, I don't know, like it put a stain or a stamp on you?
Something's lingering. I don't know what it is. I'll confess that I haven't undergone the kind of magical training that you have. I don't have that one specialty. The elements come and go through me, and a lot of times leave fingerprints that I don't expect. But something does feel off. What do you detect?
I don't know. I've never used magic off planet before, so I really didn't think before I used it. I just did it, and now I feel odd. I don't know. I feel like something is wormed its way inside, and I'm not 100% comfortable with it being there. I guess that's the best way I can describe it.
Well, that sounds totally reasonable to be spooked by it, but I'm sure it's nothing. I don't know what I saw. There could be nothing here. It's just my imagination playing tricks on me. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry.
Okay. Yeah, I won't worry about it. It's cool.
While they're having that conversation, I'd like to check on CNAC 88
Sure.
and just kind of see if he's still working properly or needs to be fixed or shut down or what's going on with it.
I seem to be doing okay. This is an unexpected happenstance, but I do feel like all my circuits are in order, much to your credit. Thank you.
And is he ambulatory or is like I got the impression that like his legs didn't work or something like that, but that might have been something I filled
Bipedal.
in.
He's a bipedal humanoid.
Excellent. Okay. Well, that's fantastic news. Yeah, let me see if I can kind of go through some of the data that you have. I don't know, maybe I can find out something about where we're supposed to go next. Or do you have any kind of GPS locating system or anything that they can home you into the hub where you can recharge, or is there anything like that?
Yeah, I actually can uplink with Haven.
You can.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Can you do that? Wonderful.
Sure. He puts his hand to his temple, and his eyes flick through a couple different shades of yellow, amber, orange. And he says, they flick back to normal, and he says, "Something's wrong. I can't make contact with him. Do any of your radios work?"
I'll check my radio.
Nothing.
Nothing.
It's like a static.
Is this something that happened when the ship went down? Was the ship acting as some kind of satellite relay for us?
I don't think so. Well, I don't know about what my capabilities are, if it perhaps boosts my signal, especially when I'm piloting, but your radio should be independent of any system that's on planet. They're used to ensure that you can get a hold of Haven or anybody that you need to while adventuring.
And other folks that have gone planet side, there hasn't been some sort of natural interference before?
No, never had it happen like this.
Huh.
Sometimes if you're deep underground, maybe, or underwater too deep, you get something like this, but not out here.
Why don't we start moving out of the depths of this jungle? Maybe we get a little closer to the plant, to civilization. We'll pick up a bit of a better signal.
Hang on there a second. While you've all been palavering, I've been combing through the wreckage, seeing if there's anything there that survived the crash that we can use.
There is. Let me consult my notes here. You find a security vest that is worth +2 armor, a flare gun, a gas can.
I should be writing this down. Well, you have it written down. But I should also write it down.
No, we should probably write these down.
Security vest, 2 armor, flare gun, gas can.
How many flares?
3. And then CNAC notices what you're doing, and he says, "Excuse me, Professor, I think I might be able to lend a hand." He walks over and finds where the door to the cargo hold is and wrestles around with it until he can pop it open. And inside there are 3 rather large crates. They look like the trunk that you would put at the foot of a bed. And he hauls them out one at a time. And on the top of these 3 crates, each one has a unique emblem that's been stamped into it. On one, there is a circle with what looks like flames inside. On another, there is a circle with what looks like waves of water. And on the third, you recognize it better than the other 2, Rex. There are the marks of lightning.
#tip.
There's also...
Oh,
Thank you, Salagen.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
there's another tip that came in for $100 from Void Watcher, and
Wow.
it said, "Who put the tip in the tipping jar? Who, me, not me, couldn't be, then who?"
Thank you, Void Watcher.
I'd
Thanks,
really
Void
love
Watcher.
for that in the voice of the robotic British person, if someone's willing to volunteer.
Thanks, Void Watcher, for the $100. Who put the tip in the tipping jar? Who? Me? Not me. Couldn't be. Then who?
Thank you,
Brilliant.
robot.
Just brilliant.
The final item that you find is a med kit. I have the stats for it, but it is a single-use item that does a pretty decent job of healing.
Cool.
CNAC88 says, these 3 crates here I was supposed to deliver to Homestead, but I don't know that we're going to be able to carry them through the jungle.
Okay.
Let's pop those suckers open.
You're welcome to. Which one would you like to open first?
This one's got lightning on it. I'm gonna crack that one first.
Sure. Before we open this, Professor, I meant to tell you this earlier. Please add to your character sheet that you have that blanket that you imbued with the fire Eric's as part of your gear. It can make someone immune to elemental fire damage, but while shrouded in it in a way that makes it effective, they cannot take any attack actions. It's a defensive item after your own heart. It's the item you made from your flashback.
Right.
Okay, Rex, you'd like to pop open the lightning crate? It hisses, satisfying.
Snakes!
Hydraulic.
Snakes in the lightning crate!
Inside, there is a single. You recognize this. It's one of the main things that your family would have been involved with the manufacture of. It's one of the main exports from the Lightning world. It's called a storm cartridge. It's used as a power cell for outposts and big technology. So a lot of the tech, some of it runs on fossil fuel, and a lot of that is exported from Bryn's fire planet. But there is other technology, large bulldozers that would have gigantic batteries plugged into them. This is a storm cartridge. And it kind of crackles with electricity, but it is safe to handle. You are welcome to keep it.
I think I shall.
Okay.
Yeah. Is it very large? Am I
It's
just now
like-
posting
it's
this around?
Like a modem, you know? It's crackling with elemental lightning energy. But it's it is dense and heavy, but it is, the size, it's smaller than a shoebox.
Okay. Cool.
You guys got 2 more crates. You want to pop them?
Yeah.
There's a water and a fire.
I'll do the fire.
Okay. You crack it open. There is a hiss. Inside is a single ember core. The professor would be familiar with this from his flashback. It's used in large machinery to produce energy, much like the other one, but they use it in combustion engines for large drills and the like. It is imbued with a fire energy.
It's one of those rods that I saw before, like an ember rod.
The one that you distilled fire and a fire axe from.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And who opens the water crate?
I'll do it.
I think that's the professor, if you want. I don't think that's my game.
Inside, you find a vapor node. It is a tube full of a glowing turquoise-ish vapor. It's used most frequently in life support systems. So if there was an undersea vessel or you see them frequently in space stations or spaceships, but it is imbued with water energy.
And it's primarily used for what now?
Life support systems.
Life support systems.
And do we have the means to utilize any of these things, or it requires some kind of heavy machinery to be plugged into?
It doesn't appear to be stuff that you would need at the moment, other than the fact that they are obviously imbued with elemental magic.
Sure. Which I could, capitalize on. My character can anyway. Awesome. That's really good. Did we get all the boxes?
Yeah, that's everything. So there's the 3 crates, and then you also got a smattering of items. Who's putting on the vest?
I think I would probably want to hang on to that.
Okay, you got 2 armor.
I like it.
Great.
Okay.
Hey, who's good at patching people up?
Patching people up.
It'll
Do
be
you
a
need?
plus cool to be doing patching people up.
I have plus cool.
Okay.
All right, I throw the med kit at her.
You got a med kit. If you want to use it, I'll tell you how to use it later. It's pretty simple.
Oh, you all have a heal from me, don't you? From the first time from the pilot episode. It's +3 heal and plus stabilize. I passed those out to everybody. So,
yeah, you got those little vials of potion.
Yeah, just a reminder that's something you also have.
Okay.
As everyone's been opening crates, Tag has been kind of lingering by the cargo hold, looking around. There's a number of different boxes and things sorted about, all in various states of disarray, some on fire, some just smashed. And he sort of takes a step into the cargo hold, reemerges a moment later, just holding a small, sort of unshapen packet in his hands, and he says, "This isn't how I wanted to. I baked us a loaf of. It's sort of a knotted garlic bread with some sage and thyme. It's kind of a little sweet, a little savory, but it's smashed. I'm sorry, everybody.
It looks delicious.
No, it's ruined, but
Why is it ruined? Doesn't have
Well,
to look nice to taste good.
I walk over, rip off an exploratory chunk. Doesn't taste good.
okay. Well, I thought we'd present it to our hosts, but I suppose we might as well
Whoops.
take it now. That's fine. And he
Are we
takes
gonna
off
break bread together?
a piece himself and offers it to Bryn and the doctor.
Ooh, garlic knots. Excellent, thanks.
Can you take them?
Totally
I remain
like
unembarrassed and keep eating it.
totally like missing the whole symbolic sort of like, breaking of the bread sort of scenario that you're trying to put out. Just like, ooh, tasty, thanks.
Oh, it's a totally smashed. People are just grabbing chunks as they can from what looks like a scallion pancake at this point.
All right. So you've gotten everything there is to get out of the dropship.
One question
Yes.
real fast.
Yes.
I apologize. I know we're going to move on, but are there any like scraps or different things that I can kind of cobble together and take with me in order to put together a rudimentary sort of satellite array when we get to a place where we were going to a cliff, I guess, to look out?
Mhm.
I thought maybe we can use that to communicate. I'm just going to grab some parts for that so I can make it later.
Yeah, you think that the cockpit's pretty messed up, but so you wouldn't be able to get it working again. However, you could cannibalize the parts and turn them into something that you might need. You're going to need to roll something.
Something.
I think just
Smart.
probably
Looking for shit.
just weird science in order to get the things that you'll need.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to mess with the rules just a little bit. Yeah. You're going to get a +1 because this is... Actually, you're not going to get your Arcano Engineering +1. But you're just going to roll weird science. If you get high, you're going to get a lot of stuff. Medium, a little bit of stuff. And a failure, you might just get a little bit.
Well, all right. That is plus weird. And weird is 2. That means 12.
All right. Excellent. Yeah, so you just get a bunch of stuff. You can just mark it down as assorted mechanical gear that you'll be able to use to build whatever you want when you get to the cliff.
Oh, thank you.
No problemo. All right, so you remember that there was Homestead in the distance and the facility from where the explosion emanated, and there was a very tall cliff that went above these trees, which have been described to be very, very, very tall. There was a waterfall, so you assume that if you could find a river, you would be able to follow it to this waterfall and get to the cliff.
We are at the upper altitude of that, and we would end up at the top of the cliff if we found it, looking down?
No, you would end up at the bottom of the cliff looking up.
Gotcha.
You saw this from a distance when you were flying in.
And Homestead is on top of that?
It's in that direction.
Okay.
Because of how dense the forest is, it's hard for you to tell where you saw the settlement after the crash. You think that if you could get to the top of a cliff, you'd be able to have a better sense of direction.
So we find the river, follow the river, climb the cliff, take a look at it.
Yeah.
Great. Sound good?
Sure.
So
Who's
how
taking
we
the lead? Yeah.
Rex?
Marching order, I guess, is what I'm asking.
I'm probably striking out first as someone who is most familiar with unfamiliar situations.
Okay. I don't think you're going to have any problem finding this river. It's going to take you some time, but I would be much more interested, instead of having you guys make some rolls, to just hear what the planet looks like to you, as your, a brief description of what the trek through this jungle is like. And you should remember that it seems like the animals are staying quiet. They are present, but it is a little bit of a eerie environment. But you lead the party towards the river. What do you see?
I think the preserved has been described as very lush and dense, and that more than anything is what I am struck by, is just how almost impenetrable it is, and that we're having to kind of fight our way through all of this foliage because we're not around any, quote unquote civilization. There are no roads. There is just this thick, enveloping greenness. And as quietly as I can, I am trying to make my way out of it, just being aware that with every step, it is more and more bizarre that I can't hear anything else. That's what it looks like to me. Yeah.
Every so often we break into not a full clearing, but just a little patch where there's less intrusive, where there's a less intrusive wall of vegetation, and we go through just a circle large enough for us to all fit in, and some sunlight breaks through the tree line up above, and there's such beautiful flowers, just this little circular patch of flowers that we're in, and I look down and I reach to touch one. It looks like maybe a tulip the size of my open hand, orange fading into a hard red at the top, a blue stem going down, and I ever so lightly touch it and it just dissolves into a mist. It's as if the flower had been undisturbed for so long that it was 99% water held together by the thinnest veil of cellulose and coloring, and as soon as we touched it, it just popped, almost as if it would exploded into rain traveling upwards. And as we continue to walk through this little clearing, disrupting these flowers, they all pop into this upwards sort of anti-gravity rain, flying up towards the tree line.
I noticed that the flowers are doing that, and they're made of water, and I'm itching to get in there and see if I can replicate them with a water spell. And I'm also fascinated by the water on this planet, because the only water on my planet is a river that circles the palace and around the village that's enchanted. It's got healing waters, and that's it. So the fact that there's this abundant river here is just blowing my mind. And so as Tag walks by and a flower pops, I instantly summon my water magic to catch the droplets and reform the flower. And I hold it in my hand. And I walk up next to him and I say, "These flowers are awfully funny, aren't they?"
I've never seen anything like it before.
Did
you do that?
This?
Yes.
Yeah, it's for
That's
you.
incredible.
It's for you. It's for the bread. Here you go.
Oh. And suddenly his face turns a little bit gray.
And the flower hovers. It hovers. It never actually touches my hand, so I just transfer it over to hover above his hand.
And I say, "I'll cherish it forever." And then I become unsure of what to do with this extremely delicate water flower. So I just hold my hand by my side here with the flower hovering as we continue walking, and I think about what the etiquette of this is and how I will deal with this in the future.
I move past you in the line as you're looking at this water flower, and I said, "Hey, nice canteen tag," and then I keep on going. All this water that's been bursting through these flowers and going to the canopy. The water that is not within Bryn's sort of water creation is sort of like kind of hanging in the air and going up, and the sunlight through the canopy is catching it, and I'm creating this really spectral, interesting, all colors dancing, and through the light coming through the canopy and catching the water. And that's just the professor is just like really, really, really excited. He's never been off world. The only place he's ever been is this very like buildings, and everything's in blocks and compartmentalized and something like that in a city format. So this is remarkable. There's no Dane thoroughfare or path or something like that. I mean, like everything's just chaos, and it's incredibly interesting to him.
Excellent. This magical little journey takes you to, you start to smell it first. It is a different smell than the water that is vaporizing off of the flowers. It's this, you smell water, old water, and you approach this thicket of trees and push your way through. Rex is slashing at it as best she can to clear the path, and when you get through, you see a very wide river bordered on both sides by dense trees. A little bit upstream, you see that there is a very large log that has fallen across and is in various states of decay. And there's some buildup on the other side of it as the water is having trouble passing underneath. It's almost acting as a dam. The log is so large. And then on the other side, in the shallows, there are some smaller logs that are stuck in the mud. You will need to cross this river. How would you like to do so?
So there's a log over the river, and several logs, smaller logs in the mud that I assume we can use for stepping stones?
Yeah, and smaller is in reference to the giant log that's blocking. These smaller logs would be the size of like regular size young trees.
I'm going to check the log. That seems like the most safest way across.
Sure. It's big. You'll have to climb up. You'll have to be very careful walking across. It looks like it is starting to collapse under its own decomposition. It's covered in moss in some places, mushrooms in others. It smells earthy, but you think that it'll get you across. Before you climb up, somebody needs to read a bad situation.
All right. I'll read a bad situation. Oh, poop. We got sharp, and sharp is 2, so that is 7.
Okay. That's not been too bad.
Yeah, I thought it was poop.
You will be able to ask me one question from the read a bad situation list.
I'm sorry, I'm incorrect. My math was wrong. That was 6.
That is a failure.
That is a failure.
Okay.
I'm going to make a secret mark on one of my sheets.
Cameron pans over Jesse's shoulder. He's just writing poop.
You get a mark and experience point there, Professor. You think that this is probably your safest way across.
Come on, guys, it's fine.
We all hang back and wait to see if he makes it across.
Okay.
I don't know. I think, I'm going to take my lead off Bryn, but if we've been following the professor or Rex and the professor, I don't know. I mean, that seems to me like player knowledge I'm picking up. If I'm following, I'm following. I ain't the sharper tool in the shed, certainly.
I would not have followed him.
Okay. Bryn?
I'm looking at other surroundings because I can also technically use magic to make something to get us I can gather dirt to make a bridge.
Okay. Professor, you can climb up onto the log easily. It is very tall. It is chest height where you get up onto. And you can see here that it's going to be difficult to cross simply because of the condition of the log. To your left, upstream, the water is collecting much deeper because the log is blocking it like a dam. To your right, there is mud with some smaller logs that are grouped now around the bottom of this tree trunk. You're going to need to act under pressure in order to cross safely.
Okay. As I'm up here and checking it out, I holler down to CNAC. How much do you weigh again, CNAC? 88?
I'd
I hope
say
it's not
maybe,
a personal question. I just want to make sure that you can get across the log.
we're using some carbon fiber now for most of our implements, so about 185.
Oh, great. Okay,
Wow.
fantastic. All right, so there should be no problem then. So I am... it wasn't read about situations. Act under pressure. Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Awesome. Okay. That is 9.
Sweet. You are going to have a choice. You're going to make it most of the way across so that it'll be a quick way to the bank, but you are going to slip. Would you like to slip into the deeper water, or would you like to slip into the shallow mud?
I am going to go with deeper water.
Okay. You slip off the log near the end. You're just too darn excited, and you're shouting over your shoulder about how much CNAC weighs. You miss your footing. Your foot goes through a rotten part of the log, and you trip and fall into the deeper water. You're now, you've plunged under, and you now got up. It's actually very refreshing because it is very hot and very humid on this planet. And now, all of a sudden, you're just swimming in a river on the preserve, and it's amazing.
Yeah. Oh. This is the life.
What does everybody else do?
Okay.
Are you okay?
Oh, yeah. I thought I was going to be a goner for a minute, but this is actually really refreshing.
Oh,
I'm jumping in.
In the water?
Yeah,
Sweet.
it's hot. I don't feel great. I am not used to being able to swim in anything but a bathtub, so I'm jumping in.
Yeah, you got it. You're in the water. It is incredible. It's like a lazy kind of river because it's very deep, but it just kind of weaves in, and now you're in a deeper part of the river that doesn't have much current because of this giant log that's blocking it.
I also realize I've never been taught to swim, so I'm kind of floundering.
Okay.
Unsure, I look to Rex and make eyes as if questioning whether we have some responsibility to lifeguard here.
Mm-hmm.
Can we jump in too? I don't ask you this question directly, but my shrug kind of is do we...
Can she swim? Can you swim?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
That would be a no then.
Yeah, we have to
Clapping
get her
like
out
a
of there.
Okay, so the river is probably 30 yards wide. The professor is on the opposite side of the river. He's not quite at the bank, but Bryn is on the same side as you guys, just kind of paddling around on nearer your bank. There's about 20 yards between the two of them. Rex, read a bad situation.
The only bad situation here really is the fear of missing out on a great time.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Oh no!
That's a 6.
Yes!
You're going to mark experience.
An evening of fails.
At that moment, you hear some thrashing in the thicket on the opposite side of the river, and from the foliage bursts this large insect. It is probably the size of a steer, like a very small bull. It looks like a combination of a spider and a crab. It seems to have some kind of injuries over its exoskeleton, but it has these large pincers, and you can see a face that has this circular mouth full of serrated, multiple rowed teeth, and dim eyes. And it erupts out of the brush and starts pacing sideways on the opposite edge of the bank, kind of scuttling in a circle as though it's unsure of what exactly it's looking for, but it is in the vicinity of where the professor was just splashing around a moment ago.
Holy smokes, nightmare crab! I scramble on top of the log.
It hears you immediately and starts to go into the water and back up. It seems not to want to go into the water. You scramble up onto the log.
Yeah.
And you're going to stand on the top of it.
I'm going to, like, maybe not stand. Stand seems
Maybe,
very
like,
bold.
crawl.
Like,
Yeah.
cower, mostly, is this really what I'm going to do? Like
Okay.
a crouch/cower is
Sure.
what I'm going for.
But you're getting to the top of the log?
Yeah, I thought the log was horizontal.
Yes. Roll act under pressure one more time.
All right. All right. Oh, excellent. 13.
Sweet. Yeah, you're cowering on the top of the log. What do the rest of you do? As this crab is now moving, this spider crab is now moving towards the log as though it's going to climb up after the professor. It is large. I mean, its back would come up to your chest.
I don't think I see it. I'm still like
Yeah.
playing in the water. Just like, this is amazing. This is so great. You guys should get in.
I
I'm
turn
gonna-
to tag. I turn to tag and I say, "Can you swim?"
I shrug at Rex, turn my attention immediately back to Bryn, and
Okay,
try to
I just-
activate.
I get annoyed that you are not acting quickly enough. I push him into the river and say, "Go save her!" And then I pull out my flare gun.
Okay.
Okay.
And maybe I can try and like scare off this murder crab insect.
Nightmare crab.
Yeah, nightmare crab.
I take the shove. I'm pushed as much as she pushes me, and as soon as I can, I try to stop moving again and resume that kind of stillness and activate that link to Bryn. And to just say, Bryn, don't move. Don't make a sound.
I feel the tooth vibrate in my pocket. And I'm like, what is that? Okay. And I stop moving and I start sinking.
That's what I thought.
You two have this strange sensation as you open up this link again. It does feel far more vibrant than it should at so early a phase. It seemed to have been heightened when the event happened with the explosion. But imagine it as if the two of you were standing on the opposite ends of this river and your brain was connected by a long cord of webbed rope. And in the center of that, there is a weight that has been set. And you can tell that it's starting to pull this connection apart. Tag, you recognize it as perhaps it's the stain Bryn spoke of earlier, the lingering effect of the darkness you felt. It's this weight that's starting to pull your connection taut and almost start to fray it there in the middle. The connection feels so strong that you don't anticipate this is going to be a problem, but this deteriorating effect is very obvious to the both of you. It's this other presence that seems to have intruded in on your connection and is working to almost unravel it.
Can I get a sense of if that is an organic presence, like a person or creature, or whether it is elemental and more aligned to the planet?
Sure. You're going to use magic. It will be, I believe, either communicate with something that you do not share a language with, or observe another place or time.
Let's go with that first one.
Okay. Roll plus weird.
12.
Excellent. You can tell that it is not an elemental presence. It is not a natural occurrence of the planet. It is you sense sentience, but to what extent you are unsure. Okay. It seems to be a deliberate act that's happening, not just some kind of fluke.
Okay. Deliberate and targeted towards us.
Yes, and specifically this connection that you're sharing. Because when Bryn did her magics to catch the water of the flower, there didn't seem to be an issue.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I trace its source any further than that, or I just know that it is sentient and targeting this link that we have?
It would be, to continue the picture of you two standing on opposite sides of this river, it would be as though something from the water is reaching up and plucking that thread out of the air and pulling it back down towards the water. So while you can feel the presence of the arm that is reaching, you cannot tell what it might be connected to.
Okay, great.
All right, Rex, you got a flare gun.
Yeah, I've pulled out my flare gun, and I'm going to try and scare this thing off because I don't want to try and protect. I don't think I can attack it, not right away anyway, and so I'm just going to try and startle it and see if it'll take off running.
Sure. Just roll act under pressure. Actually, you're going to want to roll protect someone.
Is that tough?
Plus tough.
Yeah, plus tough. That is 11.
Great. Yeah, so you shoot this flare, and it sails across the water and actually hits this nightmare crab and bounces off and starts burning on the ground. And it backs up and it puts its pinchers up, and you can see that it's in this very defensive posture. All of its attention is now focused on this flare, which is burning on the ground in front of it. And it is now circling backwards, trying to get as much space as it can, shadow clipping, towards this thing, doing everything it can to get some space. You bought the professor some time. Bryn, you're sinking in the water.
Yeah.
Read a bad situation.
Me? All right. What is that plus sharp?
Plus sharp.
Which is plus 0. Oh, I got a 6.
What?
I got a 6.
Okay, yeah. It seems like hiding underneath this water is going to be no problem for you at all.
So I'm just holding my breath. All right.
Yeah. Is there anything that you want to do while you're underneath this water?
I think I'm going to use magic to make an air bubble underwater and shove it on my face.
Cool. Roll plus weird.
Jesus. 5.
Okay. You need to pick. There's a list of glitches underneath effects. Just choose one of those glitches, and I will tell you what happens.
Under what effects? Oh, under the hunter thingy?
Mm-hmm. Actually, I think with a 6, you create an air bubble, and as it is, forming very large and you're about to put it onto your face, you're putting it in there, and the air bubble comes onto your face, and you're able to open your eyes for the first time. Uh-huh. And when you see through the air bubble into the darkness of the water, you see these 2 little black dots approaching you. And as they get closer, the ridged portion of a snout, and underneath them, some very old, very jagged teeth.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so, Professor, on top of the trunk, you now see that the logs that were in the mud are now, instead of being closer to the opposite side of the bank, many of them are closer to your side of the bank. And there seems to be a disturbance underneath the deeper water to your left.
Okay, I'm not sure if I understand that. So the trunks are more on my side of the bank than theirs. Mm-hmm. Did they move somehow? Is that what you're saying?
They weren't there a second ago.
Well, all right. I am going to let's see, reach in my pack for some sort of rope or some sort of thing like that, because I would like to kind of inchy squinchy my way backwards
Mhm.
and try to get away from the crab, but also see if I can help Bryn.
Sure. Yeah, you got roped. Rex packed you guys some really great survival kits. You got anything that you would need to survive in a jungle.
Excellent.
So
All
tell
right.
me what you
Plus
want to do.
extra snacks.
Gotta pop one of those snacks just in case.
Snacky snacks.
So how many rolls do you want me to do? I don't know if it's precarious to go backwards towards the log.
No, you had a full success, so you're going to be able to scamper around on top of this log, no problem.
Okay.
Just tell me what you want to do with the rope, and if it's too tricky, it's going to require a roll. If you're just trying to lower a rope into the water, you can do that.
Yeah, I wanted to quickly make a little loop and then throw a rope into the water.
Sure, you got it.
All right.
Bryn, a little rope loop bloop, drops down and is now perfectly circling your face and the snout with teeth in front of you. It's like you're looking through a little porthole at...
Oh man.
Or a hangman's noose,
Put
whichever.
my arm through it and grab the top of it.
Professor, you feel a little tug on your end of the rope.
All right. I got one. I'm going to reel it in.
Okay. This is going to just be a straight tough roll. Plus tough.
Plus tough. Oh, tough is not where I'm liking. Okay. That would be 7.
Oh.
Cool.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
Take it.
All
Take
right,
it.
all right.
You pull her up. Bryn, you are yanked out of the water. As you are coming up onto the log and scrambling to get up there, you can see that there are now several of what you guys originally took to be smaller logs all angling towards you. They seem to be some very large, almost prehistoric looking alligators, for lack of a better word. They have only one eye. It is double lidded on the top of their head, and you can see these ridges along their backs. They're very big. You know, they're like maybe 15 feet long from snout to tail. And they are now floating like logs towards you. Tag.
Towards Bryn.
Yes.
And how many are there?
Probably 5.
Okay. Tell me where she is in being pulled up by the professor.
We are now middle of log. You are this. I'm just refraining from using the word equidistant because we just really leaned into it on our pilot of the Aliens versus Predator version of this game. You are equidistant from either bank. So she is now in the center of the log with the professor. They're both sopping wet. He's kind of hanging onto the log.
He pulled her up. She's all the way up on the log.
Yeah.
Professor is panting, by the way. That was a tough move.
And they're coming. The alligators are coming towards Bryn and the professor.
Yeah, it's like this creepy float.
Sure.
It's as though they still think maybe they're camouflaged.
What starts as just a nervous rumble in my throat turns into the idea before I realize it, and I start shouting at these alligators, and it's half out loud, just making a commotion to try to get their attention towards me back on the other bank, and it's half psychically, just in the same way I did with Violet, just saying me, and trying to pull their attention.
You're trying to reach out with your psyche to the alligators?
I am shouting and trying to make a big noise, and I'm sure that part of that, in my exuberance to make a scene, I'm using every communication method at my disposal. I'm sure some of it's coming out psychically, but I don't think that I'm focusing to form a deep link with these.
Okay. Yeah, you see that they all drift to a stop, and they start to move in a way that logs definitely don't move, as if little feet are paddling underneath. And you've now got 5 of these log-shaped alligators starting to come towards you on your side of the bank. And Rex, who I think is still over there.
Yeah.
And so I look to Rex and I say, "Good. That was the plan. Good."
They're now 10 yards away from you.
Okay. I say, "You're a warrior of some kind, right? Good."
And I say,
I think he might be
now
dead.
might be a good time for some magic, but I still pull out my mace anyway.
Sure.
And I pull out my tonfa as well. We look at each other, armed, and look at the alligators.
Sure. Just refresh our memory on your mace, Graflex, I believe.
I believe I described it as if a samurai sword were also a club.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it is long and beautifully designed, but absolutely deadly and looks very menacing.
And this is not standard issue company equipment?
No, this is something that is handmade by artisans.
Okay.
Who have passed down this knowledge for thousands of years.
Okay. Tag, what does your tonfa look like?
So, if, like me, you did not know this word, tonfa, I'm sure everyone does. Kind of police baton structure, but bladed, so held here, and you can whirly it around. Blade maybe extends a little bit past my fist here and a little bit past my elbow on the other side. There is a psychic link there. We don't know too much about it yet. Maybe we'll learn more in the future.
Okay.
Maybe we won't.
An imprint, we'll call it, between the weapon and I.
Okay. There's a moment where Rex and Tag, who are now armed and almost standing back to back, watching these large alligators float towards their side of the bank. And we also see the professor helping Bryn up onto the log. They're now safe from these alligators, but they do hear behind them the flare sizzle out. And there is a scrabbling, and you turn to see that the nightmare crab has now mounted the log and is heading towards you slowly and carefully, because the log, under its weight and very jagged feet, is crumbling and breaking apart. But it is now crawling towards you on this log. Okay, Rex and Tag, the alligators, two of them pull themselves onto the bank in this very, very, very arched lunge, and their mouths, they open to reveal these huge prehistoric teeth snap shut right in front of you. But they are now about to make a similar lurch on dry land to attack you again. The other three have yet to get onto the bank. They're so big they can't really get in the same area. And so these two alligators are now right in front of you, assumedly about to lunge again and try and grab you, pull you under. Do their alligator thing.
I don't know. I think they look like they might be herbivores.
Yeah!
I raise Graflex in the air, and I yell really loudly, and I run at them, and then kind of like with my most powerful kind of golf club swing. I should specify mace. That has spikes sticking out of it generally, yes, because this definitely does.
Yeah, yours.
Yeah.
Because this
Great.
definitely does.
This one definitely does, and kind of like with my best kind of like underhand strong golf club swing, I try and just like whack the head off of one of those alligators.
Sure, roll kick some ass.
So cool.
You're special.
All right.
And you get an additional +1 for using Graflex, right?
I do.
Sweet.
Yes. That is a 10.
Okay. You get to choose an extra effect. You can either take a +1 forward or give it to somebody else. You can deal additional harm. I will tell you now that you don't think you will need to. You can suffer less harm. You probably will not need to. Or you can force them where you want them.
Oh. That's probably the most useful, but I don't immediately know where I would want them. So
Okay.
I will say I will give my +1 to somebody else.
Sure. Who would you like to give it to?
I'll give it to my compatriot in arms.
All right. Tag, you
Yeah.
get a +1.
Is that me?
This
I've
would
never
be
been a compatriot before.
How much harm does Graflex do?
We'll have to check on that. 4 when I'm kicking some ass.
Okay. So this will be a decisive killing blow. Why don't you tell us
what
what
are
that
these
looks like?
prehistoric alligator babies?
In comparison to this problem solver, yes.
Cool.
I think to accurately describe it would turn the stomachs of some of our listeners, but I'm going to attempt to do so anyway.
Right.
In that the mace just absolutely shreds the head of this enormous prehistoric creature. Its teeth are like knocked out of its jaw and just go flying everywhere. And like it is almost as if I have hit a golf club and just like parts of this, or I have swung a golf club and hit a ball, because parts of this alligator are just sent soaring into the air.
Sure.
You know,
There's an
I know you gave us
explosion
a
of gore.
warning, but that is far more gruesome than I could have possibly imagined, even with your warning.
There's an explosion of gore, but you are so good at using this thing. It's like there's a cone-shaped shield in front of you. It just cascades around you without getting a single drop on you. Tag, however, gets sloshed with pieces of alligator brain, bone, skull, gore. And you're now covered, and there are teeth that are just dripping down your cheek like little tears.
You guys are both monsters.
What do, Tag?
Okay. I've got a little move called Psychic Persuasion, and I'd like for us to use it for the first time.
Ooh.
What this move is a sort of ability for me to inception a target. So it's not necessarily me puppeting them in a telekinetic way. It's just me implanting an idea and realigning my target's thoughts. So what I'd like to do is look at this second alligator crawling up on the bank, and it sees me with its one eye dripping in the carnage of its friend, probably a lover with whom it had made a life over the course of the last 15,000 years, or whom it was bonded, its single mate. And I'd like
They don't take other mates, those alligators.
They do not.
Herbivore alligators. And I'd like to give it the thought that there is an enemy here. There is something causing this much harm, but it's not us. It's the nightmare crab.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You're going to roll plus weird.
I'd like to do another thing for the first time. This was a
Yes.
This is a big failure. The question I'm wondering is, should I use some luck or should I enjoy the consequences of a crummy roll?
Let me tell you one thing.
Please.
First of all, did you account for the +1 that Rex gave you? Would that make a difference?
It's a bad roll.
Okay.
It's as
also-
close as you can get to Snake Eyes without technically being Snake Eyes.
Okay. In this case, there is a built-in failure mechanic. It's called Get Out of My Head.
Right.
When you roll a 1 through a 6, the target will obey one command. As soon as the task is complete, they will recognize your psychic persuasion, and you will take 1 harm.
You know, I'd like to. We've always had some fun with failed rolls. I'm going to mark an experience here and live with my rolled 3 and see
Cool.
what happens.
Your command is, in simplified terms, attack the nightmare crab because it is the true danger.
Yes, but add some really flavorful backstory about the love of this alligator's life.
Sure, yeah. That is all transmitted. And your fear from the situation heightens the emotion that you're conveying. You see the alligator's single eye unlid again, and then widen. It lurches around, crashing into its compatriots, which are scrabbling up onto the bank behind it, and fights its way through the huddle, diving into the water and smashing into the log because it would be far too tall to grab. It smashes into the log in an attempt to jostle the crab off. I'm going to need an act under pressure roll from both the professor and Bryn. The crab is in mid-step and flips over backwards and lands in the water like a turtle would be falling onto its back and starts to sink. The alligator immediately crashes into the crab and latches onto it. There are mechanics for them battles that are happening, and
I gotta say, between the crab in the sort of helpless turtle on its back and the alligators shuffling their little baby feet up the shore, these are some pretty cute monsters.
Yeah, you got that right. They all look like Pokemon too.
Yeah, they're all adorable.
All right, Professor, act under pressure to keep your footing on the log.
I have already rolled it. I rolled a 10.
Okay, you stay on the log just fine. Bryn.
I rolled an 8.
Okay. You fall off, but you fall off into the mud on the other side. You sink down into it. It is very disgusting and deep and smelly. And you can see that there are these long trails in the mud from where these crocodiles or these alligators must have left to go around the side of the log and get into the water to come after you when you were in there before. So as of right now, you are in the mud in the middle of this dammed up river. There's some shallow water, but there doesn't seem to be any immediate dangers. And you don't take any harm because it was a rather soft landing.
Okay.
I have no idea what's going on because my internet is bleep, but I know I'll love rewatching this later, so have some money.
Hey!
Hey, thanks.
Thank you.
That's so sweet. Thank you so
Sukumsia.
much.
Who's that from?
Sukumsia?
Sukumsia.
My Nisa? Sukumisia? Yeah.
Sukumisia. Sorry.
Sukumisia.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yay!
Right.
All right, that brings us back around to the Professor.
I had this like really cool move where I was gonna like get a little bit of snacks and throw it in one direction and then shoot in the other, and it was gonna be really neat. But alligator's in the water now, or the nightmare crab is in the water.
Yes.
So what's happening? Are they just kind of going to town on the nightmare crab, or?
3 alligators are still approaching Rex and Tag. They are on the opposite bank. The nightmare crab is being bitten by the alligator, and the way ahead is now clear for you. Bren is to your right in the mud, seemingly safe.
Okay.
Danger left, clear right, clear forward.
I'm gonna go ahead and get on the shore where Bryn is and offer her a hand out of the mud.
Sure.
I'm also just just to be safe, I'm gonna kind of activate my little cannon, and then like just to have that on the ready.
Okay. You got it. Bryn, the professor is on the opposite bank, holding out his hand, ready to help you.
I grab it with the biggest squelch of mud,
Mm-hmm.
and he tries to pull me up, and it keeps slipping. So I grab it with my other hand, and I sandwich his hand.
Okay.
And then I try to get up
That's just-
with as much dignity as possible. And I say, "Thank you, kind sir. Let's not talk about it ever again."
You're welcome.
All right. The 2 of you are safe on the other bank. Rex, Tag, there are 3 alligators which are now climbing over the corpse of one of their oldest and most cherished friends.
They live monogamously, these alligators. They could give 2 shits about this other couple.
Sure, they're not in a romantic relationship with the alligator, but
Right.
they've known each other for decades, eons even, and they are very close in like a platonic sense. And
Okay, cool. Thank you for that distinction.
You should
bowling
think to
buddies.
him, an alligator.
all right, what do you do? They have lurched forward and are now ready to do another, flop
And
forward to try and grab
These
you.
alligators have easy passage through the water. Us just running across the log would not stop them from just paddling through right after us.
They would need to cross the exact same distance you would. You've not seen them move very fast in the water. You assume maybe they can. You've only seen them kind of float. The last time you did see one dart and charge the log to shake it.
Okay. I look to Rex and I say, run, and I spit out an alligator tooth. I say, run or fight.
And I raise my weapon and I yell, run, as I try and bring it down on the head of another one of the alligators.
Sure, kick some ass.
Rex lives in a non-binary world where apparently run or fight, you can do both.
Right, it seemed like her mouth said one thing.
No, I'm saying
Hey,
the tag, you run. You need to get out of here.
No,
I got
understand.
that.
It's just the moment where...
That's an 11, my friends, without even adding my thing. So I think that's like a 14 or a 13, something like that.
I like
It's the
seeing
same
the
situation.
ass kicker of the party kick ass. It's a
Yeah.
satisfying thing.
Same situation as before. You won't need to take less harm or deal extra. You can either force them where you want them or give an advantage to someone else or yourself, but you will describe to us how you handle another one of these alligators.
Now, before I do that, area attack, is that a thing that might be useful in this circumstance?
Yes, actually it is. So the way that area attacks work in this game is that you take your total number of harm that you're dealing. In this case, it would be 4, and you can dole it out as you see fit. You could, with the harm that you're dealing, kill 2 of these alligators by splitting the harm.
I think that sounds great.
Tell us what you're going to do.
And so my mace is high above my head and kind of a low sweeping cutting gesture, like you might chop someone's neck off with. I'm just kind of aiming at both the alligators. And then I'm also realizing that, oh no, my angle's a little bit off, and it kind of like grazes the under neck of one of the alligators, while then like coming up directly through the jaw of the second alligator.
Cool. Another massive wave of gore crashes down on top of Tag.
I wasn't even in the same place.
All right, there are 2 more alligators down, which leaves you with 1 attacking the nightmare crab. It is now doing a death roll, and the crab is attacking the alligator with its pinchers and teeth. And there's a lot of commotion, a lot of weird colors happening in the water. But there's only 1 more alligator on the bank next to Tag, and 3 corpses of some old friends and lovers. Tag, what do you do?
I'll nod to Rex as she says, run. Hesitate for a moment as she then puts the action of that swing to the word run. Start to, lock with Bryn, see her on the other bank. She seems fine, but I'm still going to try to just bolt over the log. And I think as I start to climb up with the log, I get hit, palpably moved by just a shower of ichor and blood, bits of bone in my ear. But I'd like to clamber across the log to get to the other side.
Sure, act under pressure.
12.
You do so expertly, and you run across it like a ninja. Another Naruto run. And you hop off on the other side, and you are now standing next to the professor and Bryn.
Great.
Rex, that just leaves you on the opposite bank. You can see now that the nightmare crab has dispatched the alligator and is working to clip it off because it seems to have locked its jaw even in death, and the nightmare crab is having to forcibly remove that as it's dragging itself out of the water towards your friends on the other side. You've got 1 alligator next to you.
As much as I want to smash this other alligator into oblivion, I think that's not your job. Your job is to protect these 3 idiots. And so I take off running to cross the log to get to them.
Okay. Roll act under pressure.
I didn't know your job was to protect me as well. That's great news. That's a load off my shoulders.
10.
Yeah, You just sprint across, hop over to the other side. And as you land in the soft sand of the opposite bank, you are looking as the nightmare crab is now crawling out of the water. It looks much worse for wear. You hear a crashing in the brush behind you. You whip around expecting to see another one of these nightmare crabs explode out, and instead, a rugged explorer type bursts from the trees. It is a transgender woman, and she is wearing some dope explorer gear, ropes, straps, and has a tube-like rifle in her hands and a very jaunty cap. She levels what you can now see is a harpoon gun at your party and says, "Duck!"
I say, where?
She goes
Look
like
around
this.
expecting a prehistoric
She's
duck bill.
She makes the international sign for get out of the fucking way.
I don't so much duck as my knees get a little wobbly because she's so hot. And so I just kind of like fall down a little bit.
She launches this harpoon, it sails over the party, and you can hear it smack into something soft behind you. You take a moment to kind of see what's going on with this rugged explorer who just burst out of the brush. You all turn in unison to see that the nightmare crab is wobbling and slumps down onto the bank with a harpoon sticking out of it, just as the final alligator lunges out of the water, snatches up the crab, and disappears back into the depths. And that is where we're going to take a 2-minute break. You solved my alligator riddle.
It's raining outside.
I don't see sunny or rainy. They're all just days to me.
Okay, but clearly it's raining.
Is it? I mean, yes, obviously it is, but just to play devil's advocate for a moment, is it really?
Yes, it is. Look outside.
So you want it to be sunny all the time. Is that what you want? You want constant sunshine. Have you ever heard of a drought?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that it's raining.
Look, don't be such a hater. All days matter.
Dude, just look outside.
You know, my cousin was caught in a snowstorm last year. Where was the outrage then?
I'm just pointing out.
It rains so much more in India. You have to deal with so much less weather in this part of the world. But I don't know why you're complaining. True, it was raining, but it's completely stopped now. Ancient history. Get over yourself. I studied meteorology in high school, and the term is actually precipitation. The climate changes are clearly part of a natural cycle that has nothing to do with us. So, rain should be underrepresented. Maybe rain just writes better science fiction. This kind of negativity just propagates the conservative agenda. People who wear raincoats anyway, right? F you. You ignorant Did you back and your or were you just that way? I hope you get rained on. That'll teach you a lesson. To push this dry-hating cumulonimbus bull.
I think we've had a little misunderstanding. Maybe we should go outside, take a walk. You can get some fresh air.
In the rain?
get the final insert here, and
All
then
right.
we break for second meal.
All right. Warm pocket cheese. I'm in. All right.
Okay, so are you familiar with how to fondle a nipple?
Nick?
Yes.
Nick, I'm going to shoot Christian's face. Shooting Christian's face.
Oh, come on.
No, you're gone.
All right. So apparently
We're
this
gonna
is
make a
just
movie.
like handling a nipple.
Okay.
So
More
pinch really
asms
hard.
than isn't.
I'm going to pinch the
Okay,
nipple.
I'll pull focus now.
Work.
I need the back of your head, sir, and the front of yours.
It works the night.
Do you know? No, it's usually Ben that does this
Okay,
stuff.
okay. The sound of silence, because he's off camera and not talking, and Armageddon on that. Come on.
Still a double.
Whatever. Yes, I can do this.
Thanks.
No, you have to help.
Oh, what do I
Just
need
take
to do?
this here, and then
We'll
we're.
start on Leo's face before we go down. Get out.
Wow. Really? Huh. We gonna make a movie?
How does this work?
I don't
This
know.
is awesome.
I'm usually over there.
Okay. What happens if I twist this?
Hey,
What?
wanna
Kind of like a mixture of a bird and a mouse, I'm hearing.
And we're back. All right. You've just completed the alligator riddle. The answer was that there were alligators. And you're on
Alternative
the opposite
solution
side.
was offer them some plants that they would prefer to eat.
You're now standing on the opposite bank of the river, and there is a woman who is a rugged explorer type with a jaunty cap and a harpoon gun, which she is reloading in front of you. And she says, "My, that was close, wasn't it?"
Yes, it was. Thank you so much for your help. We're kind of lost out here. I'm so glad to see a friendly face.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw your ship come down. I came out to meet you.
I stand up and try to look as presentable as possible.
I stand up next to her, dripping.
Yeah, we're
and
both
poor.
covered in schmutz.
I look to my left at Bryn, see the way that she's looking at me, realize what I've done, and kind of shuffle back a little bit.
Oh, it's okay.
This woman says, nothing to be ashamed of. It's a rugged existence out here on the preserve, especially when you leave the trail. I'm glad to see that you're okay. Were there any other survivors?
CNAC! CNAC 88! Where are you?
You turn around and he's on the opposite bank, just waving. Hey, I'm all right. He gets up on the tree and walks across and joins you.
You made that look effortless.
Yes, I have agility programming that enables me to do many feats human beings find difficult.
He jumps and flips around and ends up on the other side.
I ask if he can do this.
He tries, and then one of the fuses in his neck sparks, and he says, "Oh, I better not try that one again." That's tricky.
I pull out a hanky and I give it to Tag. Said you got a little cycloptic gator on your face. So
Thank you. I get my face with it, start to wipe something else, but at that point I'm just wiping gore onto gore, and I hold it up, sort of wondering, do I give
Oh, no,
it?
that's yours. Oh,
Okay.
that's- yeah.
I say, I will cherish it for, and then I remember the flower. I look around and it's gone, and I look to Bryn. But I keep my mouth shut because maybe she doesn't know. Maybe I can pretend that it's in my bag, and I just hold the hanky, hold the moist towelette.
I give one to Bryn as well.
Oh, thanks. It wipes off like one spot of dirt. Cool. Throw it.
The person says, "Oh, yeah, that mud and that gore, will most likely not dry either because of how humid it is. I imagine this is going to be a very uncomfortable walk for the two of you. I'd recommend that you get into the river and wash off, but I don't think that's safe.
I'm going to use my water magic to funnel some water to drench us and clean us.
Sure. Use magic.
What do I add for magic? Is that weird?
Plus weird.
Oh, that's a 14.
Oh,
wow!
Okay. Tell us what you do.
Clean.
Yeah. It can do whatever you want. Tell us what it does.
So this time I use my staff, Airmed, and I aim it at the river a safe distance away, and it starts to drum up a circular cone, and it gets bigger, almost like a hole is forming, and then up through the middle of the cone comes water cascading down over, and it stops right above Tag and I and swirls for a second, and I have my staff up, and I'm like, and then it goes, and it soaks us both, and it completely washes everything off.
Excellent.
What
does it feel like when you tap into this energy to be able to manipulate the water?
So on my planet, it's healing water, and that's the only water I've really had experience with, and that water taps me out. Like I can't do any other water spells for like 2 weeks because of some magical property within it. And this is the first time that water feels like literally pulling something from within myself. Like I'm so connected to it, and it flows so freely. It's incredible. It's cooling. It's comforting. It's a little exciting. Yeah.
Have any of you seen somebody use magic as effortlessly as she just did to do what could be for summoners a simple task, but for a regular human being 100% outside the realm of possibility?
Absolutely.
100% no.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
The person who has joined you, the explorer, says, "Are you a summoner?"
I am a summoner in training.
Wow.
I'm from the planet that has yet to be named, the Fire Planet.
She reaches out and takes your hand very gently but firmly, and
my mother, Amelie, sent me here to meet Summoner
Lingurium.
Linguini? What was it?
Nearly Summoner Linguini, but there was some copyright issues, so we went with Lingurium.
Lingurium, that's it. To meet with him, and our ship crashed. So we're just trying to get there. If you know the way.
Absolutely. I'm sorry. My name is Tara. I live in Homestead.
Hey, Tara.
Yeah, I've never met the summoner personally. From what I understand, he's a very busy man. He travels all over the planet. But I did hear that he was going to be at the company's Elder Seed facility, which is nearby. Most of the employees there live in Homestead in the housing that's been provided by the company, which is how I heard about it. I actually contract out for the company. I lead expeditions into the forest. I've lived here all my life. I'm a local, but yeah, I'm sorry, I'm babbling. I've never met a summoner or a summoner in training. I'm honored. What you did was incredible. I've never seen anyone use magic so effortlessly.
Oh my gosh! Well, your planet is incredible. I've never seen so much green.
Everything
around mine is just red and orange and fire and red and orange and all that. So this is incredible.
Yeah, I've never been off planet, but I hear that the Fire Planet, which is yet to be named, is incredible.
It is. It's wonderful. I love it. But I was definitely itching to explore, and this is the first planet I've been to outside of my own. So it's a little rough start.
Sure.
But yeah.
The forest has been strange lately. The past couple weeks, primarily this last week, it's gotten to a noticeable level. That creature that came through, I was tracking it. It's not the first one I've seen. And as you can see, they're quite dangerous and very strange. I don't really have much experience with them. I've seen many creatures in this jungle, but I've never seen anything quite like those until very recently.
Tara?
Yes.
Hi. My name is Dr. Baxter Brodigan, and it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm wild about seeing another face, and one that can potentially help us move past our current lost state. Should we be having this conversation right here? Because it seems as though this is a dangerous place where nightmare crabs live.
Sure.
Is there another place we go?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry. I'd be happy to lead you towards to Homestead. It would be easier for you to I don't know. We could possibly find you transport out or do something, but Homestead is my base of operations, and there are company assets there. I think that perhaps the two of you work for the company.
Yes.
I flash my most charming smile and I say, I work for whoever pays me.
She says,
which is right now the company, yes.
She laughs and says, me too, which is also happens to be the company, so.
Cool.
Follow me. And she leads you on another journey through the jungle. You are now following the river. And as you can see that there are many of these crocodiles. None of them give you any trouble. They are mostly floating near the banks, potentially waiting for prey to come within range. Tara knows where to look and keeps you away. You see a couple other poisonous snakes she points out. There's many different dangers that you perhaps would have stumbled into unknowingly had you made this journey on your own, but with Tara's help, you have no problem. You get to the foot of the cliff you believe that you were heading towards. It is a very steep climb, and she says, we will actually need to climb up. Homestead is located on the other side of these cliffs near the terrain's a little funky in this part. This section raises above the canopy, and Homestead's built on a ridge that overlooks a large part of the forest, so we'll actually need to climb up. I have some gear. I don't know if any of you have experience climbing. I thought you might.
Yeah.
Jesse?
Yes.
Hills.
We mentioned before about my boots, and I forgot what your question was or your answer was. Do the boots that I described to you initially, do I have those, or are these the boots that are just magnetic or something?
Just magnetic.
Blast.
They're actually pretty heavy, and it's making tromping through the jungle less than ideal. You've got some blisters on your heels that are forming.
Covered in sweat.
Well, gotta take some notes on that. I'm sure there's ways to improve these.
Now, Tara, when you said that monsters like these, you meant the crab-like creature, yes?
Yes.
You hadn't seen that in the forest before recently?
Yeah, not until recently. We've seen them. They seem to be getting nearer to Homestead, and there has been a couple instances of what we perceive to be potentially attacks, but until very recently, I've lived on this planet my entire life, and I've lived in this area. I've lived in Homestead since it was just a colony that was unaffiliated with the company before the Elder Seed facility was here, and we haven't seen anything like that ever. And we've had dangerous creatures, and we've had people go missing, and we've had our share of colonial life, as I'm sure any of you who weren't born on the Void planet know. It's a very difficult living, but we make do. But until recently, we'd never seen anything like this creature here, the nightmare crab, as you so aptly described it.
And what do you make of that? A creature this big, for it to have gone undetected for this long, seems impossible.
Give me just a minute.
Well, while you're deciding that, can I pull the summoner aside for a brief
Please do.
conversation? Hold on. Hey, listen. I know you think this is all fun and games, but like we saw in that river back there, this place is serious. All right? It's my job to make sure that you make it there alive. Can you help me do that? And then I hand her the security vest that I pulled from the wreckage and say, at least put this on.
I take the vest and I say thank you. I'm well aware that this is more than fun and games, as evidenced by the shield I put down to save your ass from falling from the tree.
Hey, yo.
I can't help if I get a little excited at seeing things I've never seen before, but I will try to rein it in. You have my word.
Okay.
I look at the vest. I'm like, okay. I put it on.
Thank you.
Tara says, yes, there's been some rumors in town. A lot of the work that goes on at the company, from what I understand, is done in 24-hour rotations, and the facility never stops running. And so a lot of what happens is the workers kind of come and go in shifts from town. And so you'll see groups of them return, and shortly after, groups of them leave. And it seems like that's been the way it's been since the company has had the facility here. But recently, there's been a problem with their scheduling. I don't know for sure. The people, I go to the tavern. People at the tavern, the employees of the company have been saying that there were some rumors of some strange things happening in their research and development. And our town in particular, kind of on the tail end of these rumors, has experienced some fluctuations in power. And we do share the same generator at the company. They installed it. It really upgraded our entire system. And kind of on the tail end of these rumors, we started experiencing fluctuations in power. And then just as of, I want to say 2 days ago, I've been out in the wilderness a little bit, but as of 2 days ago, there wasn't a shift change. All the employees that were in town went to work and nobody came back.
Are there living quarters at the facility that they could be staying at, pulling some intense all-nighters to meet a deadline?
I don't know. I've never heard. I've never been to the facility myself. I've gone to the front gate, but only to take some of the more... every once in a while, an important person will come to town, and even though the road to the facility is very easy to manage, they will assign a guide as a gesture, and I accompany them and point out some of the local flora and fauna.
The workers, do they have family? Is the family worried? Do you know, have they called home to say, hey, staying overnight at work or anything like that?
In this particular facility, and I don't know how it is on other planets, family is difficult to manage and children require permits. We do not have any youth in Homestead that are not local, and most of the family units, you could say, all work at the facility. So I don't know.
Okay.
No company employees. There's a dormitory type barracks in Homestead that's run by I suppose a company employee, and he is there, but he doesn't work at the facility. He merely is a property manager for the barracks.
And we're talking and walking at this time. Are we?
Yeah,
are we following him?
she's just like getting some ropes tied together. You can see that there's a path up this mountain that will not need to be cut. It's a path that she has assumedly taken up and down this mountain if she were to be crossing this way towards the river. So it is already set up for you guys to kind of hook in and climb up. She doesn't have enough harnesses for everybody, but she thinks that it's going to be an easy climb. The rocks are wet, she says, and will need to be careful. But because you've come upon this guide, she is going to be able to lead you up these cliffs. It will not require a roll. It will be a difficult climb. If there's any moments that you guys would like to have while on the wall, you will be climbing a near vertical surface with a lot of ledges, but with her help pulling ropes, lending a hand, and telling you where to step. It takes a couple hours of going up this wall, but you guys do make it.
At some point on the wall, I open up that connection and I say to Bryn, thanks for the bath back there. I couldn't imagine doing this covered in 2 alligators.
I mean, I kind of did it for everybody else, but you too.
Well, thank you either way. And as I shut that off, do I feel that same weight pulling that down?
Yeah, it's
still there.
It's still there. It's a stain. It's something that's latching onto your connection. how do you imagine the connection forms? Is it ever present, or is it like a dormant line that you activate?
I think it's more the latter, that it is available, but it requires deliberate intent to put out a message.
Can I reciprocate that, or am I only able to receive? Like, can I activate the...
We might have written that down. Let's. I think we can make up what we want, but let's just see what we happened in the spirit of pretending that we're adhering to rules.
Rule benders. That should have been the name of our show.
So, I think that this can be probably a decision that we arrive at together. When creating this move, telepathic deference, it is specifically that the parallel forms a link with his or her assigned summoner.
I like that. I like that it comes from you, but I feel like it's almost like a ring, like a telephone ringing, but that the equivalent of that, and I can answer it and open.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I wonder.
I have restrictions I'd like to place on this, so I would feel great for you guys to define it however you think would be coolest.
So we'll start there, and maybe as the relationship develops and as these characters grow in experience, we can play with how that connection evolves and see how some of that power may be transferred to the summoner.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah. Totally.
Cool.
Yeah.
Then as we're climbing up the wall, if I still feel that link, I'll ask Bryn. Hey, it seems so long ago when our biggest concern was just crashing in the forest before we had seen those various creatures. But you had mentioned something about, I think you called it a stain, a nagging presence. Do you still feel that, or?
I do. I didn't. It's weird. I didn't feel it with the water, but I felt it with the earth. So I'm really hesitant to do any magic involving that again. I mean, I guess I could try and see if it intensifies, but yeah, it's definitely there. It's like an extra shadow, or it's just it's something I can feel it. It's just there, and I can't get rid of it. Although it did seem to lessen when I was working with the water, which was interesting.
I didn't want you to worry before, and I certainly don't want you to worry now. I said it's nothing, and I'm sure it is, but I've started to feel something too. I would call it a weight, just a pulling, almost as if when I'm talking to you right now, as if I can't stand up straight, that there's just someone yanking down a line that's attached to my sternum. And like I said, I'm sure it's probably nothing. I don't know. I just thought I'd tell somebody.
Do you think I passed it to you, or do you?
No.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't blame you.
Do you think we should not use the psychic connection then? I don't want to endanger you.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. It didn't feel dangerous. It just felt odd. Sort of like an itch in somewhere that you can't quite place.
Yeah.
Maybe you're right, though. I don't know. I don't want to expose either of us to undue harm. And as this is going, I transfer this to an out loud conversation, just kind of seamlessly in the middle of the sentence. So, yeah, maybe I'll just exercise a little more caution.
Okay, that might be smart until we figure out what's going on.
Okay. And I say, yeah, that would be smart. And I don't let it tell, but there's just a wafer thin hint of sadness about shutting down this unique part of our relationship. But it passes.
Do either of you want to look into it? Address it in some way?
We can do that.
Yes!
Investigate a mystery?
Oh, yeah, I've got that temptation thing that I try to discover dangerous knowledge. So, yes.
Okay.
Look at you just telling us how to play the game. That's cool. Thanks for helping.
Go, buddy.
Would you like to do so while you're climbing up this cliff?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. It's going to be a use magic roll. and I think you will be communicating. You can choose, and I don't know what's going to happen. So you can communicate with something that you do not share a language with, or you can observe another place or time.
Do we communicate with whatever the stain, the dark thing is? I don't know what that. I don't even know.
Yeah, I guess technically too, if you do not want to find out more about it, but merely get some distance from it, you could also bar a place or portal to a specific person or type of creature. So if you wanted to just cut it off and not learn anything, you could do that.
Yeah.
You could try and communicate with it, or you could try and view it.
Let's try to communicate with it while we're psychically connected, because that could never go wrong. Especially on a cliff.
Precariously, vertically, yeah.
Wet cliff.
Forget what I said earlier about not using it. Let's just use the psychic connection while we're climbing, and then once we get up to the top, then we could cut it off.
Are you telling Jesse this, or are you telling Tag this?
Tag.
I say, okay. It's sort of like I was about to put down the phone and, oh, okay.
I mean, if we join together, we might be able to contact whatever this is that we both are feeling. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, as you wish.
Okay. Who's gonna do it? Who's gonna reach out?
Rock, paper, scissors?
I think if you want it, I think it's all yours.
Okay, I'll do it.
All right, roll
I
plus
have that
weird.
temptation anyway, so of course I'm going to do it.
Let's just frame this in the correct visual. Tara is up in the front of the line. She's kind of using ropes to shimmy up a sheer cliff face that is dripping with water. There's a waterfall to your left. You can hear it roaring. The professor is doing his best to maintain physical aptitude while scrambling up. Rex is just like killing it. Deferring to Tara because I think maybe there's a connection there, but needing no help whatsoever. And at the back of the line, Tag and Bryn have been having this conversation psychically and vocally. They are dangling on the ropes, kind of waiting to be, the clearance to then make the next move. You will be crossing what Rex and the professor are crossing now, and you've kind of got some time before you have to move up to the next ledge. And you are having this conversation when Bryn decides to use magic. Roll plus weird.
I'll assist her, if I may, in that as we're kind of undergoing we've talked about doing this together.
Sure. You can use help someone. You won't need to. Here's the thing. I think I'm going to tell you mechanically and also narratively what we can do. So help someone can be used after the result of the roll is seen to see if you want to or not. But because then you can protect yourself from the negative consequences if there are any.
Why
However, in this, if you roll a failure.
I can't imagine.
But if you want to just join in on this because you think it would be more fun, you can help out at the exact same time and we can resolve it all at once.
I don't want to. I'm going to let the summoner do this. This is, she's my boss.
Okay. And you're trying to communicate with something that you do not share a language with?
Yes.
Okay. Roll plus weird.
I got a 9.
Okay, cool. So underneath effects, there are glitches. Choose one of those, and I will tell you what happens.
What am I doing? Investigating a mist now.
Use magic. It'll just be...
There we go. Okay. So pick a glitch, you said?
Yes.
While Bryn is picking a glitch, I've affixed sort of like a camera onto my little arm thing, my little shoulder cannon, and like it is kind of telescoping out and flipping back. So as we're on this cliff looking down, we're at a height that is above the canopy, and it's just beautiful out. So I'm trying to take selfies of the group and everyone else down the road. And I'm getting really kind of frustrated because I'm smiling a lot and they're having like really sour faces and stuff. So I have like 17 of these photos just trying to get a good one.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing.
And while that's going on, I'm saying to Tara, like, that's a really cool harpoon gun. Did you make that yourself?
I did, actually, yeah. I have a couple other weapons that I made myself. I'm a bit of a weaponsmith in my free time. I don't need them very often. I just love weapons.
Cool, me too.
Okay, what's your glitch, Bryn?
It has a problematic side effect.
Okay. So, you tell me the steps it takes in order for you to open up to reach out, and then I will tell you what you see when you do.
And we're connected. So we've got this, like, almost the way that I see it is it feels like a gold pathway. That's like an intertwined rope. And as I start to open out to communicate, the tendrils of the rope start reaching out, and they start filtering through a reality that isn't really there. It's almost like a middle place, and starts feeling for what this thing is that I feel inside is what I'm guiding it with. And as the tendrils start going, and they start to see, it's almost like a heat thing that they can see, like when you're wearing those infrared goggles or whatever those things are that show like the heat. That's what it sees. It starts seeing it, and the tendrils start intertwining and going closer and closer and closer to it, and I can feel it starting to get hot. Like I'm getting close to it.
When you make contact with these, first of all, Tag, you are watching her. You see that throne of plants that you've seen out of the corner of your eye. You're looking right at her, and you see kind of in the space between realities where you know that you exist and magic exists, that gap between, so it's almost transparent, like you're viewing it through an old-fashioned television through a telescope or something, you know, like it just looks so strange. You see this growth of plants start to reach out from Bryn and travel with these vines, and flowers are budding and blooming and then falling off, and it's just growing at this outrageous rate. You see her jolt as the vines stop and all start to pull towards this space that exists between you. And as they get closer, you start to visualize the exact same golden knotted pathway between the two of you, and you see this darkness that is reaching all the way up out of the canopy, which is hundreds of feet below you, and snaking and twisting in on itself and grabbing with just the slightest finger and wrapping around your connection and pulling it down towards the canopy. Bryn, when your tendrils connect with that, this view that you've had of this beautiful magical place inverts, and it looks like you're looking at a negative in a film. And everything is the wrong color, and it's the dark version of it. You see almost as if you're seeing the underlying darkness of things. You feel like filth, sin, shame, these strange experiences that just start to make your skin crawl. And you feel as soon as you connect with this darkness, not only does everything change, but it doesn't seem to just be feeding off of your energy. It seems to be feeding off of the planet's energy as well. And once you tap it, you tap into what it's pulling. And you jolt, and you feel this rush of bloom energy flowing into you. What is that?
What is going on?
Oh, can you guys hear that?
Yeah.
At 8 p.m., people in our neighborhood cheer for our essential workers.
Oh, right on.
Right.
I thought it was at 7 p.m. for most places. That's cool.
So you feel this surplus of energy traveling. It's like you're tapped into, if somebody was siphoning gas out of a gas tank, you tapped into their siphon. So there's just this energy that explodes out. And Professor, as you're looking into your camera and smiling and then checking the footage, you notice that Bryn is no longer holding the rope next to the wall. And Tag, you see Bryn is now starting to float away from the wall and move towards that place that is connecting your thread of energy to the canopy and start to be pulled down. Her body's actually rotating as she's floating in the air, free of the ropes and free of the cliff. She looks very calm. Her eyes are closed. Those tendrils that you were seeing in the space between reality are gone, and she's now just kind of floating away from the wall and starting to drop. Not drop, sorry, as if she's being pulled by gravity towards this place that's snaking, that she can see is snaking up out of the canopy, this dark tendril.
So she's passing. Can I reach out and grab onto her as
Yes.
she passes?
Yes.
Okay. So
You will need to do a little bit of like wall running to do so because you're holding onto a rope, but yes.
I do that. I just want to use some extra thing. You know, if I can, I don't know exactly what the technology is we're using, but if I can clip her into me in some way.
Yeah, there's clips.
And then I just want to slam shut the connection as fast and hard as I can.
Okay. This is going to be use magic. You are going to need to bar a place or portal to a specific person.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I just lost you. Okay. Use magic is going to be 11.
Cool. Tell us what happens. It works exactly the way that you'd like it to.
So I grab onto, and it's almost like I'm working with an unconscious body at the space station. She is just sort of floating unaware of how I'm touching and manipulating her body, and I fasten her in through her harness hook to me and to the rope. And as soon as I sever the connection, you can just see, almost as if time is slowed down, this great exhale of a rush of energy out of her body and her eyes. And there's the briefest moment of that panic where you suddenly wake up from a nap at an unexpected time and you don't exactly know where you are or what's going on. And gravity kicks back in immediately and she drops, but is, I hope, still connected.
Yeah, you clipped her in. Right. It's a jolt for you, and it's scary, because while it does work, you didn't know for sure if it would. But Bryn, you are now dangling from Tag's arms, hanging over a very far drop.
What happened? What happened? I was on the wall.
You were floating off of the wall.
I was floating off the wall?
You were floating down towards the ground. What did you see?
I have footage of it.
Oh, cool.
Cool?
What I saw was not cool.
I agree.
Did you see it?
No, I saw you. I was watching. I didn't know what was happening. I was terrified.
It's awful. It's awful. It's everything bad that you can imagine that you dreamed up when you were 7, wrapped up into one giant mass. It's terrible. It's dark, and it's sad, and it's cold, and it's angry somehow. I don't know how.
Should we take a break?
Maybe,
Tara,
maybe at the top.
Tara
okay to
points to
climbing?
Tag and says, yeah, excellent idea. We should definitely take a break at the top of the cliff.
I don't know what happened, though. I got really close, and then all of a sudden, everything just quit.
That was me. I got scared. I didn't know where you were going, what was happening. All I could feel was the connection darkening between us, so I shut it off.
Oh.
I pulled the plug on it.
Shoot.
Are you okay? Shoot. What do you mean shoot?
I'm
I thought it
okay.
was terrible. I thought it was awful.
I couldn't communicate with it. I almost did. I got so close, but it got shut off. I couldn't.
Well, no, it's not your fault. We can try again if we need to. I think we need to get off this cliff. And I have to say I'm nervous about exposing you or us to that kind of what sounds like malice and darkness, but I'll do as you see fit.
All right, let's get off the cliff. I know that I can do it, but maybe we'll just find a better time to try again. I don't know. My head's really in a strange place right now.
Let's get off this cliff.
Yeah. All right. Can I get off so I can? Am I going to be hooked to him? Can you carry me the whole way?
No. It was just an extra because I wouldn't be able to keep your weight if you just dropped in my hands.
Right.
So I'll reclip you to the.
Okay.
Well, or I'll start to, and maybe you'll take over and reclip yourself.
No, it's okay. I'm pretty out of it, so thanks for the help.
Sure.
Bren, mark an experience for giving in to your temptation.
Oh, I see.
Okay. All right. You guys, if you'd like, can proceed up the cliff. It is still difficult, but with Tara's guidance, you have no problem getting to the top. When you do crest the hill and turn around, you can see, like you saw from the spaceship earlier, and you would have been able to see it when you were climbing, but it was just too dangerous for you to even take a second. This endless expanse of jungle. It's gorgeous. You see birds flying in the distance. They look gigantic. They might even be reptilian. They're just these huge creatures. You can see clearings where there's water. You can see the area where the river is snaking through. You're next to the waterfall, so there is a kind of a lagoon at the top of this cliff that feeds into this waterfall, and a river that feeds the lagoon. And you're able to just, Tara says this water is safe to drink. We don't have much pollution on this planet, and the planet seems to filter itself rather well. You're welcome to drink this water or wash your face with it. Anybody who drinks, it is the sweetest water you've ever tasted.
I put some of my things down and take off my boots and approach the water from kind of downstream a bit. So if anybody wants to take a drink, they can do it upstream. But I'm going to get into the water and just take a quick dip.
Yeah, it feels good.
I take a couple mouthfuls of water and then hoping no one can see me, I just kind of and do a little.
It's bad.
Of that. Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad.
European bath.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll wander off a little bit. I'm still pretty out of it, and whatever. I'm gonna go brood over in the corner and dip my feet in.
Okay.
I'm also going to take some of the water in my canteen so I can study it later.
Sure. In the distance, you can see Homestead. Tara points it out to you. There's a little bit of smoke coming out of a couple chimneys. The buildings look kind of like I described before. They are just minimalistic but sturdy. There isn't much razzle-dazzle. There are some older buildings now that you're closer. You've still got a little bit of ways to travel. There are some older buildings that look like, Tara says those are the locals. Well, those buildings have been here for years before the company arrived. All the newer buildings were brought in after the company needed to establish a place for its employees to live. And it's a bit of a symbiotic relationship, as the company has with most of the places it exploits. They give us a lot of resources, and we give them whatever they want.
Are there any communication set up here?
Yeah, we do have there's a science laboratory in town, and the scientist there, whose name is on a piece of paper I don't have readily available, will be able to communicate with anybody that you'd like to.
Oh, you jokesters.
It's Finnish.
Yeah. She'll, Dr. Veach Foster. She has communication devices. There's a pretty large satellite. She points it out to you. You can see there's this circular building off to kind of on the outskirts of Homestead that has multiple satellite arrays around it. If you're ready, we can start heading that way now.
Part of me is really upset that I did not get to put together a rudimentary satellite array for communication, because there's already one here. So I'm glad, because it's probably going to work better, but part of me really, really wanted to do that. So
if you want to put one together and check in now, we can.
There's no need. There's already communication set up. I'm not going to make a phone when you already have a phone.
Okay. I haven't been back.
An ego thing. I don't know.
A day. I've been out in the wilderness for about 17 hours now, based on my cool watch. But if you're ready, we can head out.
Oh, I guess that is our ultimate goal. The doctor is very curious about all of this small little dwelling, and also apparently there's a lab here, and I'd like to talk with people. But I understand if people want to keep on going.
Oh, sorry, that's all at Homestead. Homestead is like a half day's journey still. Where you are right now is just on a cliff top that's very serene and peaceful, but none of these structures are here. You're headed in that direction. So if you wanted to make a satellite relay on top of this cliff, because there is not a phone here, you're more than welcome to.
I misunderstood. I thought you were saying at the top of the area was a small rudimentary, rural town. Okay. In that case, I will put that together while everyone's, around.
Sure. Weird science, my dude.
Weird science, my dude.
I pull out
we're gonna call this show.
Yeah.
But we decided on board jumpers instead.
So many other better names.
Subtitle: Weird science, my dude.
I pull out some snacks while he's busy doing his science stuff, and I hand them out to everybody.
Okay, Tara's very excited.
Yeah, and I say the banana chips, they're my favorite.
Wow.
I reach into, I kind of see something shiny in the river where my feet are, and I pull out a very small piece of scrap metal, and I'm just like, well, this looks, I don't know what to do with this. And then I look at the doctor, and I'm like, all right. And I go walk over, and I say, here, I don't know if you could do something with this, but it looked like it had your name on it, so here you go.
I've been looking for this.
Really?
Yes.
It must have fallen out of your boots.
Oh, thank you. I don't think this actually would have worked without this.
Oh, very cool.
It's fine. I would have made it work. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Where did you say you were from? What planet? We didn't really get to talk.
Void, the Void planet. I come from the Void planet. The one that has all the people and all the cities, on the planet.
Is it exciting there?
It is amazing there. Everything's bustling and moving, and there's alarms, and then there's people yelling. It's just so the cacophonous noise all the time. You actually have to turn it out, and you kind of, I kind of miss it in places in this scenario. I don't know how I'm going to be able to sleep at night with all these city sounds.
Oh my goodness, it sounds so exciting. I've only read about it. One day I hope to visit.
As we're chatting, I'm tinkering with this thing and putting up the array and sliding this little dish over around. I get a 12.
Oh. So just pick one requirement.
One requirement. How about it won't work exactly as you intended.
Okay. You get it working, and you dial up what you hope will get you to contact. You're trying to contact Haven, your ship?
Yes. I figured, we crashed, and so if they noticed a crash, they probably think we're dead. So I wanted to say, hey, we're not dead. We're on our way to you, kind of thing.
Okay. Nothing. It's the same as when you were trying to use your radios earlier. But in the section where you were trying to adjust the frequency, you can see that there's almost what looks like an incoming or an open frequency. So you cannot reach Haven for whatever reason. It seems to be the same problem that's affecting your radios, which lets you know that it's probably not your radios that are broken. Mm-hmm. You just cannot reach Haven. But you do have this open frequency that's kind of pinging you.
Pinging me. Okay. I pick up? Like, pinging me how exactly?
It just seems to be like this, if you're fiddling with it to try and get it to lock onto something, you do see that there is something available to you. A frequency that is open.
Okay. I tune it into that, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Hello?
Hello, hi. What?
Who's this?
Oh, well, this is actually Dr. Baxter Brodigan. Who am I speaking with?
This is Dr. Veach Foster.
Oh, Dr. Veach Foster. I've heard so much about you. Well, actually, I heard a sentence about you, but I'm very excited to meet you.
Oh, excellent.
I was with the party that was on its way to Haven with the summoner to be. We crash landed. I don't know if you see a smoking pile of ruins somewhere in the landscape.
Let me just look out my window. Oh, yes. Wow. There it is.
Yeah. We're not there though. We're not dead. We're on a cliff now, and we see Haven. We couldn't see it before, and I just wanted to let you know that we're okay, and we're on our way to you.
Oh, excellent. Are you using some kind of broadcast device?
Yeah. I made a little thing. It's a little satellite array out of some parts. Like I can show you later. I made a design for it.
Pretty wide band on the frequency, yes?
Yeah.
Oh, that's probably why we're talking to one another. I'm actually conducting some very sensitive experiments that your frequencies cut into and ruin the results of.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I hate when that happens to me. We're gonna be there in a little bit, okay? We had Tara, and Tara's gonna take us to Haven. So you just tell whoever you need to know, okay? I'll get off the frequency.
Oh, Joy.
Oh, she seems nice.
And you got out? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I assume everyone can hear that because it wasn't necessarily just in an actual ear, and so like, yeah, all right. Looks like they know we're coming. Hopefully we'll have a hot meal when we get there.
And also you were pretty loud because you have the thing where you can't see someone, and so you just start talking louder.
I don't know what you mean.
I don't know, Doctor. She seemed pretty unconcerned simultaneously with whether or not we were coming, as well as the fact whether or not we were alive from a crash.
Well, she was in the middle of, she had her eyes down on a thing that she was working on. Sometimes you get tunnel vision. I mean, like, I'm sure she'll tell who she needs to tell.
Okay, I don't know. It didn't seem like we were her top priority. I would put your expectations of that hot meal a little lower down.
Wow. I guess I'll just, heat up some jerky then.
We'll see. Let's keep moving, shall we?
I will, yeah.
Okay, so Tara leads you down this other side of the cliff. It's not a cliff anymore. It's now just kind of a slope that leads down into some dense forest again. You're walking for a couple hours. Tara's telling you, she's kind of falling into the rhythm of her tour guide duties. She's telling you about the preserve and how the company's been here for a while now. She was born in Homestead before the company arrived, but when she was young, they did arrive. Their first objective was to establish a base camp inside Homestead, and they bought out several of the landowners in order to do so. That building has since been turned into their barracks at the completion of the Elder Seed facility, which is built a distance from the town. But they trade with the company. The company brings a lot of resources, and she's just pointing out some of the local trees. She's telling you where to watch your step, what not to touch, what you can eat, what you should never eat, and what you can eat if you're desperate. And then she comes to a clearing, and she says, oh, we've actually been traveling a lot faster than I thought we would. We're actually pretty close. And you guys start crossing the clearing, and she holds up a hand to stop you, actually, and she says, hold on a second. And she motions for everybody to get low, and she kind of bends down. She crouches into this tall grass and motions for you to do the same.
Oh, she did that move before. I know this one.
You hear some crashing around in the brush at the opposite end of the clearing. It's not as violent as when the nightmare crab came out. But you do see another rather large insect emerge into the clearing. This one is smaller than the nightmare crab, though you can tell it is in the same family. Instead of looking like a spider crab mix, this one actually looks like a very large tick.
Ugh.
It also has some injuries on it. You're not entirely sure from this distance what they are, and it's walking in. If it were a human, you'd think maybe it was intoxicated. And it's weaving into the clearing and heading towards a rather large tree, which is one of the only trees in this clearing. And it goes and makes its way over to the roots, which are a big gnarled clump, and starts to start messing around in there. Tara says, I passed through this clearing on my way, but that was almost 24 hours ago at this point. I didn't see anything like this when I was here. This looks like one of those other insects, doesn't it? One of the nightmare crabs?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Okay.
It's slightly different, though. It still seems to be crustacean-based, or... Well, I don't know, ticks or spiders or crustaceans, but you know what I'm saying. Whatever the appropriate word is.
Arachnid?
Arachnid. No, oh yeah. They both seem to be slightly versions of arachnid creatures. I wonder what. And you say these are not native to this world at all.
No. Well, we should be clear about one thing. The jungles of this planet are largely uncharted, and we are under the impression that there is a lot out there that we've never seen. But in all my time on this planet, I've never seen anything like this.
And is the tick is burrowing into something?
It seems to be messing with something over there. It's very interested in the roots of this tree.
Okay.
It's the size of like a Saint Bernard.
Oh. How long ago did these insects start showing up, did you say?
I mean, probably a week ago, we thought we saw the first one, and then there was a couple attacks, and a couple people went missing a couple days after that. I ran into one on my way to you, and I was actively tracking the one that attacked you as well after I dispatched of the first. They seem to be confused, and most of them are injured.
I'm gonna take out my camera again and like zoom in to try to document the specific creature and any kind of injuries they might have.
Okay. Investigate a mystery.
Well, all right. I'm gonna do this. All right. Investigate a mystery is plus sharp, and I am pretty good at that. So. That would be 8.
Okay. You get to ask one question from the list. Oh, yes, so one question from the list.
All right, so we have... what was it going to do? You know what? Actually, I'm sorry, I apologize. What is being concealed here?
You can't see exactly what it's doing, but it's not just rooting around. It seems to be working at something, almost as though it's building something or protecting something. Whatever's being concealed here is in the roots of those trees, and this creature is interacting with it.
Okay.
Can I use magic to see if I can detect the same darkness around this bug that I just experienced on the cliff?
Absolutely. We're going to say that you are trying to, what is it called? Observe another place or time. So you will roll plus weird on use magic.
6.
Okay. You open your mind to that place where you are starting to be more and more comfortable with accessing on this planet. Around you, because you were just trying to see a certain kind of magic, you open your eyes and your mind to this, and you can see every ounce of elemental energy that is coursing through this meadow, and it's breathtaking. You see the bloom energy coming up and radiating out of every blade of grass and every leaf on every tree and coursing through the trunks and the branches of them. You can see that on the dew on each of these, there is this flowing amount of, even if it's just trace, this water element energy. In the sky, you see pieces and parts, these swaths of lightning energy as part of the sky in the storm. And deep in the earth, you can feel fire, and it's familiar to you. When you look at this insect, however, when you're only looking through this lens and only seeing this magic, you can no longer see the insect. Now, you've done this before. And when you turn around to make sure that you're not crazy and you look at your friends, you see that they are a conglomeration of different kinds of elemental magic. They register in this view. Living creatures are a complex blend. Professor would tell you, if you asked him, that they believe it's the same thing you see when you read the continuum itself like this. It seems to be the very embodiment of life. But for some reason, when you look at this insect, it is missing from your view. When you flip out of this and return to normal sight, you can see that the insect is now looking directly at you. Whether or not it can see you, it is looking in your direction and is now starting to shamble towards you, weave drunkenly on its 6 legs through the tall grass.
Jesse, will you help me understand the constraints of use magic? So I have some moves for this class, this hunter that I'm playing. To what extent can I think of something magical and attempt to do it?
For the most part, you can just do those things. There's a safety measure built into this game called Big Magic, and if we feel that what you're talking about, the scope of it, is too powerful or unavailable to your character, there are secondary rules built in, requirements that you would need in order to do this.
Okay. Well, so I can... Gotcha. So if it's in the use magic effects, no problemo. If it's outside of that, we'll call it big magic.
Yeah, for the most part.
Okay. Though there it says in use magic, do one thing that is beyond human limitations. That I assume gives us a little wiggle room.
Yeah, that's kind of a catch-all. So if you're trying to do something that isn't insane, you can probably just put it into that category.
I'd like to trap a specific person, minion, or monster.
Okay. Roll plus weird, and we'll figure out what it's going to do, and then you're going to tell us what it looks like.
8.
Okay, so choose one glitch.
Oh, yes. Yes. Let's say it has a problematic side effect.
Okay, I will resolve that at some point. You tell us what you want to do and what it looks like and how you do it.
So as it comes towards us in this kind of drunken ambling, with its 6 legs, if it's a tick, there's no consistent rhythm to its walk, and it puts down a left leg, and the leg kind of sticks in the ground, and the others behind it keep trying to walk and kind of walking over itself, and the others stick. And you can kind of see, if you look closely, that a little bit of this grass, not in a really malicious way, but it's just kind of twisted slightly around the insect's legs, kind of sucking it just an inch or two into the ground.
Okay. The problematic side effect is that as it continues to struggle against these bonds, you can see that it is a bit more injured than you thought initially, and it struggles and pops free of one of its legs. And a black ichor starts to bleed from the wound. It doesn't seem to notice and struggles forward some more and pops free again. More grass has to reach up and wrap around its legs to hold it in place, but it continues to just mindlessly move towards not your party. As it gets closer, you can tell Bryn. And it continues to pop its own legs out until it is just on the ground. It struggles for a moment longer, but it doesn't have much fight, and it stills and leans over, and you can tell that it is dead.
Well, shoot. Professor, do you want to take a look? Or Tara, I suppose you have expertise in the area as well.
Expertise?
Maybe you've seen monsters like this. Really, anyone who knows more than me, I wouldn't know where to begin in something like this.
I'm gonna absolutely hop too, because this is very exciting. I mean, before it was there was like cycloptic aisles or something like that in the background. So I take out this kind of like a headlamp thing that's also this sort of thing that I can bring down some lenses to kind of like observe things better. And I start taking some samples from the tick thing and putting them in little vials and stuff like that and labeling them.
Okay.
And I look at it for a second and I'm like, do you think we can eat that?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
Tara steps forward. She says, I just want to shut that one down immediately. I'm a little out of my element here, but I would not recommend eating that. As you're, like lifting up one of the legs and sniffing it, you're caught with this very strange experience, actually, in the way that sometimes smells bring back strong memory. As you're smelling this thing and wondering whether or not you could eat it, you look and see that the ichor that's leaking out of it has this strange shimmering quality, almost like oil that's been seen in the sunlight, where there's all these different colors. And the smell, it's very weak compared to how you remember it, because how you remember it is associated with such a devastating memory. But the smell reminds you of that ozone, that absence, that smell, that liquid that you saw the day that you came home from winning the race to find your colony destroyed. And it takes you off guard for a moment. And Tara, assumes that you're joking and is like, yeah, I don't think we should eat it, but I guess if you wanted to crack those open and suck the marrow out like crab legs or something, that would be... Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
The professor's going to take out his little glove and figures the thing's dead anyway, so he has no compunction against trying to extract if he can get anything on Eric's from it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Distill that.
Okay. I don't know what's going to happen.
I could never have thought of this.
Uh-oh. All right, distill magic. I should really know this by now. It's plus sharp. Yeah! All right, that is a 10, my friend.
Okay, this is the first time you've used it in campaign, not in a flashback. So, on a 10 plus, you successfully distill the magical property into a single Eric's, which can be used to enchant any item, gear, artifact, or machine. Add the enchantment plus 2 positive tags. So, describe the process with which you do this, and I will describe to you what the Eric's looks like.
Okay. So you're leaving this up to me to tell the people what happens when we do this to a creature?
Yes. This one's already dead.
Okay. All right. Well, this one's already dead. Okay. So we still don't know what happens when it's living. Okay. So yeah, the same similar situation for those who watched the prequels last week. He outfits kind of like a small little palm glove thing. And this one actually does not have a spiral cord going to his backpack. This one's a little bit more state of the art, and I've made it a little bit nicer, and it's remote. So I hold my hand over the carapace of the dead tick thing, and things start to whir, and there's some clicks, and I have to adjust it a bit. What's the dials and things like that, because this is not usually what I do this for. But after a while, it comes to a crescendo, and then there's a loud pop, and like something is sucked into my hand. It just socketed there, and I take that out. And when I look at the crab, or look at the tick, its blue carapace is just on the ground, and it's hard. You can knock on it, but like it almost appears to deflate and shrink into a husk, almost as though like something that was hard was actually really just made out of burlap or plastic, and like all the air that was keeping it into a three-dimensional object is released, and it just kind of like goes down like an old mattress, a water mattress.
Yeah, and while you're doing that, that black ichor it pulls towards you, almost turning into this liquid smoke that starts spiraling up into your palm. And as it's leaving the creature and the creature's deflating, it pops into your palm. And what you pull out is you actually drop it because it's so startling at first. It is not a crystal. It's not an Eryx. It is somehow, and you have no idea how, it is live energy. It is a condensed form, but as you touched it, you could feel something leaving you, and you dropped it. It seems to be an absence that is trying to fill itself. And as it hits the ground, you can see in concentric circles around it, the grass curl forward, and from the root up, start to drain of its color and die. And it just keeps expanding and keeps expanding. And it goes about 6 feet in every direction until it reaches about its peak. And the Eryx has doubled in size.
The non-Eryx.
The non-Eryx, yeah.
The object
anti-Eryx.
room.
Yeah. We'll call it an anti-Eryx because now you have it, and I never thought you would because you're fucking crazy, but that's what it did.
As it's spreading out on the grass, Doctor.
We should leave now. This is not something that I was expecting at all.
Undo this.
Yeah, I have no idea how to do that.
It keeps expanding. What if it envelops the entire planet?
Hit it!
Doc, you do have, just because you have a bag full of science fiction-y stuff, I do not want to rob you of this device by making it too dangerous. You do have capsules that you typically contain Eryxes in because they are volatile. You imagine that you could potentially isolate it in one of your like sealed capsules.
Oh, I thought you said it was like double what it usually is, and it's expanding. So I can do that now if I do it right now. I can do that.
Yeah.
Okay, then that's what I do.
Yeah, you bottle it up. You got it in there, and you can feel that the capsule's charged, but it's built to contain raw elemental energy. You have a feeling that were you to let this thing out or interact with it directly, it would do stuff. But you have it in a bottle. You could potentially imbue an item or something with this property. But it was a 10+. You've successfully distilled this magical property into an Eryx, which can be used to enchant things. The tags that we will associate with that will be applied when you enchant, if you decide to enchant it. But you have this thing; it's in a bottle.
What's going on with the grass?
Doctor, you tell me what's going on in the grass. What was that? What did you do? I thought we were gonna study it, look at it, not.
We're going to study it. Oh my God. As soon as we get to the lab, we're going to study this thing.
As soon as we get to the lab, don't you think that it's pretty pressing that we have giant insects crawling towards us as we're walking through the planet?
Well, yeah, when you put it like that, sure.
Yes, I hope we could glean some practical in the immediate sense, knowledge.
Well, in the immediate sense, I don't have any way of studying this properly. I'd have to get into a lab and have some tools and have some spectral analysis, and there's tons of things that I would want to do. I can't do anything out here in a field. I mean, like we have.
What did you just do? What is that? What did you do to that creature?
Oh! I'm sorry. You've never seen it before. Yes. Right. So I can do a thing. I have a thing that I do. I've.
Yes, we saw it, Doctor. But what is it?
It's something called distilling magic. Okay, like I can take just magical items and extract the magic from them and crystallize it into a form that it can be socketed into other things and have other.
You can steal the magic from sentient creatures.
Well, yes, but not really. That's not really what it was designed for. It's really mostly
not what it's designed for, but that's the first application that I watched. What's to stop you from doing that to any one of us?
Well, because that would be rude, for one.
It's your civility that is keeping you from draining us into husks like that?
Well, I would argue that it is your civility that is not that is keeping you from busting out your crazy, wicked blade and chopping me up into little bits. I mean, we have a mutual respect and trust with one another.
Okay.
I don't trust a damn word that's coming out of your mouth right now.
Did you guys not get like portfolios about the people that you were going to be?
You
working
got a portfolio on me? What did it say? Did it have my parents? Who are they?
It did not have your parents. It did have your likes and dislikes, and I was really looking forward to buying you a cup of cocoa when we got to the Haven. But I guess that's out of the bag because you don't trust me anymore.
I just put that on my presumed likes. I've never even had it before. They have cocoa at Homestead?
Oh, it is delicious. I don't know anything about what the Homestead cocoa is all about, but you are missing out, my friend.
You're getting me off track. I understand what you're saying. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to have yelled at you. It just upset me at a level that I've never even felt before, to see you just wring that creature dry of everything that made it what it was. However, I don't want to put a morality onto this bug, whatever, whatever it was.
I share your revulsion for doing this to actual creatures, especially those that are alive. That's not something that I want to apply this. I mean, this is.
Have you done this to a creature that was alive?
Once, yes. There was a time that I did that. Yes, I kept on. It was at a job interview. I kept on telling me how the other kind of applications are so much more useful. I mean, like taking out of mundane objects. It's a wonderful process. It's very. I'd love to go all in the details of it because it's actually like a lot of.
Thank God you learned in that moment what those people were asking of you and didn't take that job. What was it for?
Pizza? I was gonna be a pizza guy.
Okay, wow. Yeah, I don't immediately see the relevance to. All right.
I don't know, man. Void Planet's weird. Anyway, so I'm not going to do this.
Sure.
Two things. That's not. It's like making me take out a gun and shoot someone in the head. It's not something I'm going to do.
Please just give us. Thank you. I hear you. Just give us a warning or something. I don't ever want to watch that again.
I felt as though my morality kind of compunction against doing this was okay because the thing was dead. It was like I almost like as though I was doing some sort of autopsy or something like that to see how it worked.
Right. Okay.
Can anybody use one of those things?
Oh no! So much math.
There's math to a capsule.
No. This is the actual. This is just the thing that I'm putting. I'm the container, and this actually it took me a while to kind of create as well. But no, there's no math just to have it contained. No, this is just a container. But the actual process, I have to go through lots of different kind of mathematical equations on the fly, and sometimes they don't work, and so I have to. I'm boring you. The point is, no, not everyone can do it.
I don't think I'm bored.
No. Also,
Okay.
keep that away from me, and we won't have problems.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't even think of it. This is a tool. This is a tool that can be abused, but I choose not to abuse it because I like to think that I'm above doing that.
Okay.
Anyway, I apologize if I've somehow lowered myself in your guys' idea of me.
Okay,
or my reputation.
I overreacted. Maybe I don't know. I don't know how this sits with me yet. But let's stop. I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's done. What's done is done.
Well, although I wasn't. I'm never really a big fan of confrontation. In fact, actually, this is the most talking I've done with other human beings in years. But I do appreciate you bringing that up because I share that perspective on using this. And if you would, please do not tell anyone because technically this is a huge secret.
What?
Well, yeah. I mean, you wouldn't want a lot of people knowing that something like this exists. It could fall in the wrong hands.
Well, you were awfully cavalier about that secret.
Well, you're my friends now. Aren't we friends?
I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about this pizza joint.
Right, the pizza joint. Sure. Yeah, mistakes were made. Anyway, I'm gonna go look at the route that this tick thing was trying to deal with.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Does anybody want to poke around the remains of the tick?
I'd like to. Yeah.
Okay.
With a sense of remorse.
We're going to do both of these. We'll do Doc's first. He's going to go over to the roots and investigate a mystery.
You're just sadly pointing it with a stick or something. Investigate a mystery. Excellent. And
we're going to find your result. I'm going to tell you what you just see, and then you're going to ask your questions based on what's over there.
Okay. That was an 11.
Okay, perfect. You're going to get 2 questions. So you go over and you see that the roots have actually been torn and cut up as if this thing was chewing some of them to get them out of the way and create more of a divot in the ground, a protected space in there. Hanging halfway out of this indention is the corpse of a deer, some kind of strange jungle antelope that you've never seen before. And inside there are several large river turtles that are on their back and have been mutilated in some form or another. And there also just appears to be the pieces of some other animals. And then this has been covered up slightly with fresh, like raw, like rich earth, as though it were dug up and moved over here, and kind of mounded around these things.
Oh, okay.
You get 2 questions.
Man. Okay, so I was expecting something completely different. I was expecting... anyway, how about... what was it going to do?
As you poke in the remains here using some kind of collapsible prodding device that you would use to point to things on a blackboard, you see that the creatures weren't just mutilated, they were cleaned in a sense, and inside of them there seems to be these small... You think they're eggs at first, but when you move them around, you just realize that they're rocks that look to be about the same size and shape and color of eggs.
Okay.
And it appears that this maybe was some kind of nest, but this thing didn't have real eggs, so it put other eggs in it.
Oh.
Or something that would pass as an egg.
So how about... I was going to ask something else, but how about what sort of creature is it? Specifically for the eggs.
Because they're not real eggs, you can't really tell. But this thing, if you were to gauge its relation to the first creature that you saw, which seemed to be some kind of warrior, this appears to be a drone of some kind.
Okay. All right.
All right. Tag, you want to take a look at the creature? Investigate a mystery.
It's going to be 7.
All right. You got to ask me 1 question.
Let's ask, in terms of the creature as it was coming to us, what was it going to do?
You've had several strange experiences with magic since you've touched down on this planet, and the reason you crash landed was the strangest experience of all. It didn't notice you until Bryn looked at it on a different plane of existence. And while you couldn't tell exactly what it was going to do, it recognized that it had been seen immediately and started heading towards her right away while she was using magic and, in one way or another, broadcasting that.
So it only really picked up on her when she was looking at it on a plane in which it itself was invisible.
Yes.
Okay.
And invisible's a strange word. There was a hole in what she could see.
A negative, almost? Cutout?
Yeah.
Okay. I just realized, somebody stop me if there's something that you want to do, but I just realized, Tara, we never talked about the explosion, not the one on our ship, but the one on planet. Did you feel that?
Oh, yeah. I did. I was in the bush, so I felt a rumble in the earth, but I don't know what you guys do when you close your eyes and hum or whatever, but I can't do anything like that. So I thought it was maybe just whatever was causing problems with the power in Homestead. If whatever it was that was messing with the generator finally blew, I don't know.
But you didn't see or feel anything different?
There was a green flash, maybe?
Of course.
It happened very quickly.
So that... Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not part of this conversation. My bad.
So that's a no. You didn't notice anything different about the planet after that? About the...
No.
Nothing.
No, but I haven't been home since. I don't know what happened at Homestead, or if I'm praying that it came from the facility and not Homestead itself. I don't know what it's like there. I've been out in the wilderness since.
Well, I mean, I got so tangled up in escaping the dropship and the attack as we were crossing the river. I'm starting to get worried. What if people are hurt? What if something's wrong at Homestead?
It's crossed my mind. I just keep telling myself that it must be the facility, and while I don't want anybody hurt there, I'm much more attached to the people that I grew up with, the people that I live with, and
of course, you must want to see how everyone there is doing. Let's go.
Sure, yeah. If everybody's ready, we can leave.
Yep.
Yeah, I say, Rex, can I talk to you for a second?
Yeah.
I'm sorry I snapped at you earlier. I don't know what's gotten into me. I don't usually do that. I felt really strange since I've been here, and I know that your intentions are good, and I agree that it's dangerous here. And something strange is going on. So, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's cool. We're good.
Okay.
Thank you for saying that, though. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Are you...
You can ask.
Have you ever heard of anyone being able to suck magic out of something before?
Something happened on my home planet right before I was born, and I've heard rumblings of something like that, but I didn't know if it was just lore or if it was real. But I guess if you can put magic into something, it would make sense that you can take it out. I'm not gonna lie, it freaks me out. It definitely scares me.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of stuff, and I've never seen anything quite like that device.
No, and I can't believe it's
legal?
Legal with us? Like, literally 20 feet from us? Yeah, makes me a little uncomfortable, honestly.
Okay. Keep your guard up.
Yes, ma'am.
Tara has crossed to the edge of the clearing, and she ushers you through. You guys go through just a little bit more jungle, and she parts the last little bit of foliage, and you emerge onto a rather dusty road, and you look down it, and you see that you are now in the outskirts of Homestead. And there are several buildings. Their chimneys are puffing smoke, and you made it.
Awesome.
Yes, Professor.
Before we leave that clearing, I'm since there's so many egg-like things, I wanted to take one of those and put them in another one of those containers.
Sure. Yeah, you managed to get samples of the creature, no problem. You can grab one of those rocks that looks like an egg. Cool. You can get whatever you need. It's easy stuff.
Sweet.
Yeah, but we're going to leave off with you guys just entering Homestead, and that's where we'll pick up next week.
Looking for Lombardi! whatever his name is.
Linguini.
Linguini, Lombardi.
Lingorium. Lingorium.
Like Emporium, Lingorium. Okay.
The Langoliers.
Langoliers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for joining us for Void Jumpers on every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time.
3.
Pardon?
Episode 3.
Episode 3. That's what you just watched. Absolutely. Next week will be episode 4. I'm Brian S. Lewis. You can find me on most of the things at Brian to the Lewis and just Brian S. Lewis on Facebook. Starting with Lisa, please remind us who you are and how people can reach you if you wish to be found on the internet.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Lisa Coronado. You can find me on Twitter at Lisa Coronado, and I also stream on Twitch under It's a Smalls World. Smalls is plural. And I play lots of horror games, and right now we're doing Subnautica 2.
Awesome. Connor.
I'm at Connor_Marks. And you can often find me also playing a lot of video games, but not streamed, just by myself in my apartment. So you can find me there in a sort of spiritual sense. You can trust that at any given hour that is very likely what's happening.
Trin.
Hey, I'm Trin Miller. The social media platform I use the most is probably Twitter, where I am at Trin Miller. And I play I'm doing a lot of puzzles right now. So similar to Connor in that we can't do puzzles together and you can't watch me do puzzles. But if you think of me doing something during this quarantine time, it is probably a puzzle.
Our fantastic game master, Jesse.
I'm Jesse Keeter. I'm on Twitter. You can find me at Jesse_Keeter. We also have Void Jumpers at Void Jumpers on Twitter for updates, and eventually we'll be putting up some fun videos and pictures and all that.
Twitter and Instagram as well. I think we're just crawling out of the womb in terms of our social media life. We're barely in our infancy.
Absolutely. Thank you again very much to Mark Thomason, who is like kind of behind the scenes and any kind of moving around you see visually, and the tweaks, all that is because of him. So I really appreciate that. Please tune in next time into the Zombie Orpheus Entertainment Twitch channel tomorrow at 6 p.m. for Zoe Game Night. That'd be on Thursday. Thanks very much, everybody. Catch you around the continuum, jumpers.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark, for the intro that we got, and Aaron Buman for the cool theme song and atmospheric music. Thank you very much, everybody. See you next week.